Gamescom coverage continues here on Reforge Gaming, and we are going to be watching Xbox at Gamescom live. It's going live in about 9.5 minutes, so if you're watching the past broadcast, be sure to skip ahead by about 9.5 minutes. Also, don't forget, we will be co-streaming Future Game Show later today. We co-streamed Opening Night Live with Jeff Keighley. Some big announcements from there that I got pretty excited about was the Secret Level show looked excellent. Obviously a big Borderlands fan. The Borderlands trailer was one I said I thought was coming because it was probably the right time to tease it like they did last time. Also, probably do their best to make everybody forget about the terrible movie and how much it's flopping and how it's headed to streaming services fairly quickly. So we will be covering these Xbox streams throughout the week, so there will be a little light on uploads. I'm not really going to have time to sit down, write, and record and put together those high-quality uploads that we want to give you because I spend most of my day, co-streaming these things with you. So I hope you enjoy that. I hope you enjoy all of the live streaming coverage that we're going to be doing. And we very much appreciate how much you guys have been supporting the channel and just showing up every day and being awesome. We put a lot of work into making sure that you guys get like a good flow of content. And you really want to be here live for these showcases because a lot of times they end up getting muted after the fact because there's all this copyrighted music. I do my best when I can tell something like that's coming to like turn the volume down, but it really is just easier for me to just mute large portions of those broadcasts so that they can remain monetized. That helps with, just YouTube in general, with channel discovery and everything else. You don't want to have a bunch of copyright stuff on the channel. And let me go ahead and start thanking people for already gifting members. Do me a favor and smash that like button while I'm doing that. Let's get our first 100 likes on the day. Starting early. I know it's early. You're like, oh my gosh, what is going on? No morning coffee today for the members. Now, Hasio comes in and renews his VIP, but then he also gifts to 2 members. So that's 3, taking us to 215. But then Alex is going to gift a 5-bomb. So Haseo Han shot first, and so did you. Thank you so much for doing that. We appreciate you guys supporting the channel with those membership giftings. We are currently at over 500 member plus and above. We are trying to go for a milestone. The weekly goal is something that we do for community game night, but those milestones, those membership milestones, are different. We are trying to get up to 1,000 people at Member Plus and above, and we will do a stream where I build a PC of all things. And so continue to consider upgrading your membership. It supports me directly. It allows more people to get those gifted memberships. It allows more people, new people, to get in the door and to try out the content. Currently, we have 515 people at Member Plus and above. So thank you, everybody who has done that, who has been supporting the channel, both with gifting members as well as just upgrading also. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Yeah, I know you guys, you're probably going to want to know my thoughts on the Indiana Jones thing. I didn't say much. Oh, I'm muted in Discord. Sorry, Discord. Good morning, Discord. I didn't want to say too much during the end of the stream yesterday about it because I kind of wanted to gather my thoughts. I focused more on the Towerborn thing because I think I was looking forward more to Towerborn than Indiana Jones, and it just continues to, the pattern with Xbox just continues to frustrate me. That they do these really strong showcases and they have these really great roadmaps, and their fans are out here, celebrating roadmaps. And using those roadmaps to claim that, like, oh, look how strong Xbox is, and this company over here doesn't have any games. Well, and then everything just ends up getting pushed down the road, shuffled down, and moved. And so I didn't talk much about the Indiana Jones thing. And I'm doing my absolute best. I don't want to be petty. I don't want to gloat. I'm seeing clips of people who use their Twitter platforms to insult me, to slander me, to claim things about me and my content that simply are not true. And I'm seeing them look like the buffoons that they are. And it's so hard not to gloat. You know, I just continue to come back and take solace in the fact that when you conduct yourself in that way and you're unprofessional and you're driven more by fandom than facts, you know, that always comes home to roost. And I just hope the people that, you know, listen to them, watch them, and maybe even believe some of their lies about me, you know, I just hope they're getting their own comeuppance right now. It's like, yeah, this is what you deserve. You know, this is what you get when you behave in the way that you have. You know, I've just been continually convinced that I don't ever have to retaliate. I don't ever have to lash back out. I feel like, you know, justice always takes care of people like this. And this is a form of justice, I think. The people that were in denial, the people that misread things or spun things or went on the attack, that's a form of justice, that they look like buffoons right now, you know, because they are buffoons. I think they deserve it, you know, they deserve it. So I don't want to run around and be like, I told you so. I went and found my clip, you know, I took my little victory lap on Twitter. I was like, listen, I said this after the Xbox podcast back in February, and like every other Xbox show or commentary I tried to do, it just invited attacks, and, you know, and now y'all look like fools. And if you want to claim that, you know, Phil Spencer lied, again, many of us tried to warn you that Phil Spencer did not lie. Phil Spencer was very selective in how he answered the question. The question was intentionally framed to make you think that it wasn't going to happen. You know, and listen, you guys don't need to call out specific content creators. I actually did not even have him in mind. I really didn't. There were people with, you know, that are more Xbox focused that continue to call me a pony and misrepresent me. That's who I was thinking of. You know, the pattern is clear. The pattern is clear. Phil Spencer knows how to trick you. And the thing that I would hope going forward is that you guys wouldn't be tricked anymore. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Right? Like, you guys have been fooled so many times. It was when he did that interview with Windows Central at the end of last year, that to me was like the most gigantic red flag of all. When a CFO is saying that first-party property is going to be going to platforms that were, quote, formerly considered competitors, and everybody twists it, misrepresents it. Oh, he's talking about ABK. They completely ignore the fact that the CFO of the company said that PlayStation and Nintendo were formerly considered competitors, right? Like, they ignore that. And then they all get tricked. All Phil had to do was go to Windows Central and say, we have no plans to bring Game Pass to PlayStation and Nintendo. He says absolutely nothing about first-party titles. He says absolutely nothing about, you know, PlayStation and Nintendo being considered competitors no longer. He completely avoids all those questions. And that's all he had to say. Everybody took that as a win, and they ran with it. And then the same thing happened with the Xbox podcast. He answers a question that is perfectly crafted to make it sound like a certain thing is true, and yet it's not. It's just like in the Wheel of Time, when the Aes Sedai, they bond themselves, you know, literally through magic. They are not allowed to lie. And so what they do is they say things that are true in a way to leave you with a false impression. So then they are therefore, you know, adhering to their bonds to the truth. You know, they're literally unable to lie. And so it's the same thing. It's like, that's what Phil Spencer does. He says things that are true, but he says them in a way to make you think a certain thing. Yeah, I put Indiana Jones on the thumbnail because I thought, I know everybody's going to want to talk about it. I don't have time to make a video. I literally shut down last night and ran to soccer, and then had to get up early this morning so that I could cover this with you. This is typically, we're starting morning coffee like right now. So yeah, I was like, I know people are going to want to talk about indie. We can talk about it throughout the day. I didn't have time to write a script or anything. Here, let me switch audio sources. All right, here we go. Peggy 18. They're starting with Forza Horizon 5. Is it a DLC, you think? Yo, a 20 bomb from MASH and Harbinger with 1! Oh, a brand new game mode.
Herzlich willkommen hier aus Köln. Welcome to Gamescom.
For the first time, Xbox Game Studios.
Does anybody think it's weird that they're doing a free update to Forza this late? That seems weird, doesn't it?
More new games.
And we've got our work cut out for us this week as we showcase the more than 50 titles.
I love the accent. I love the German accent. It's great.
Xbox, the best place for gaming.
And to do all that, we've assembled an international squad. Because with this many titles, we need reinforcements.
That's right, Lena. You need a crack team of gamers willing to play and properly fan out over the latest titles. It's a tough job, but somebody has to do it.
So get yourself ready for some interviews, live gameplay, and some big announcements across Xbox consoles, PC, and cloud, plus all the latest titles from Game Pass and PC Game Pass.
You know, in fact, Henry, we've already...
Why is it weird? It's a 4-year-old game that they haven't done anything with in a really long time, and they just added a free update of hide and seek. It just seems odd. Again, there were rumors that Forza Horizon 5 is coming to PlayStation, so it could be related that they're wanting to get, everybody talking about it again. Hey, it's Phil and Sarah.
Bond and Phil Spencer. Thank you so much for joining us today. First question.
Thanks for the 5 bomb, Alex.
To be here at Xbox's Gamescom presence.
It is so much energy here. It's been fantastic to see the fans, to be part of Opening Night Live last night, and to see their reaction. This booth, and I have no idea why we're calling it a booth, because it's not a booth. It's an entire wonderland.
It really is. It's an underestimation calling it a booth, right?
With experiences, with games that you can play, things you can see, incredible photo opportunities is fantastic. So to see folks pouring in and experiencing it, and it reminds you of what makes this industry special, which is all about celebrating games, the joy they bring, and the people who make them.
It's, for us, our first Gamescom with Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda, Xbox all here together. So there's definitely something special.
Phil's looking good. It looks like he lost a little bit of weight. He's looking better.
Great representation. I'll also say the industry's gone through a lot of transition with our shows, and seeing Gamescom as strong as ever with fans, consumers coming in, all the creators that are here, and strength across Europe. Like, we need more of this in the industry. I'm glad we're here supporting. And it's just awesome to see how the gamers show up to support this show.
Bigger and better every year.
Yo, thank you for the single gift to Joker Quinn.
To the booth, though, I actually want to talk. I saw you both were at Opening Night Live yesterday, and there were some pretty amazing reveals and news in there. So what was it like? I couldn't get a ticket, unfortunately, but what was it like to be in the room with that live reaction?
There's nothing better than being in the room with the live reaction and to just see people.
Why wouldn't they have had her there? She does the Xbox On podcast.
All the work being showcased, and folks put so much work into bringing that forward. I'd say for me, it was really cool to see Game Pass titles in the show. I think we had over a dozen titles that are coming to Game Pass in the show. We just have a fantastic lineup. But I was especially excited to announce that Genshin Impact is coming to Xbox.
Yeah, that's my one.
There's some pretty cool Game Pass rewards that are going to be part of that.
Nice.
There's going to be full.
Yeah, I was going to comment on her jawline, Leonidas. It's a great angle. She's very pretty. Sarah Bond's jawline's fabulous.
I know so many fans are excited to enjoy that on the Xbox.
I love when creators are making new things, and you have to be really brave to come to a show, maybe before you're done, show your game, get the feedback. Teams that are creating new games. I thought the diversity of games at the show was awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
From big, huge games to smaller games, things we've heard of, seen, things we hadn't heard of. I also have to say Genshin, we got to meet with the MiHoYo team earlier in the day, and they had such excitement for their announcement, and it was nice to be able to support that.
Oh, fantastic. And obviously we can't talk about opening night live. We saw some amazing new stuff from Indiana Jones and the Great Circle as well as that exciting release date. We also saw the news about PlayStation as well, which is really cool. I'm really interested in
Let's
that.
see what
So
they
I
say.
want to know how this connects back to Xbox's perspective on how and when this approach happens to other titles.
I mean, I'll start just saying Machine Games is doing such a nice job with that game. I thought it showed really well. And that's the most important thing is quality of the games, teams that are getting support that can go build the game. And it was just nice. The long gameplay segment that they had, I thought was fantastic. Going to the PlayStation announcement, obviously last spring, we launched 4 games, 2 of them on the Switch, 4 of them on PlayStation, and we said we're going to learn. We said we'd watch. I think at Showcase, I might have said from our learning, we're going to do more. What I see when I look is our franchises are getting stronger. Our Xbox console players are as high this year as they've ever been.
Amazing.
So I look at it and I say, okay, our player numbers are going up for the console platform. Our franchises are as strong as they've ever been. And we run a business. Like, it's definitely true inside of Microsoft. The bar is high for us in terms of the delivery that we have to give back to the company, because we get a level of support from the company that's just amazing in what we're able to go do. So I look at this, how can we make our games as strong as possible? Our platform continues to grow, both on console, on PC, and on cloud. And I think it's just going to be a strategy that works for us. And the last thing I'll probably say is I think as an industry right now, there's a lot of pressure on the industry. It's been growing for a long time, and now people are looking for ways to grow.
It's an industry problem.
And I think that us as fans, as players of games, we just have to anticipate there's going to be more change in how some of the traditional ways that games were built and distributed. That's going to change. That's going to change for all of us. But the end result has to be better games that more people can play. If we're not focused on that, I think we're focused on the wrong things. So for us as Xbox, health of Xbox, health of our platform, and our growing games, most important things.
Oh, that sounds perfect. Lovely. Now back to
There it is. There's the dog whistle. There's the dog whistle. It's an industry problem, guys. Every podcast, every Bleed Green podcast, there's your talking points. There's your talking point dog whistle from Phil himself. That's what everybody's going to say. Go look. Go watch Twitter. Go watch the podcast. There are your talking points. It's an industry problem. Everything's changing. Except that Nintendo and PlayStation aren't.
I know, it is a lot of emails for Xbox, PC, and console and cloud today. We've got over 20 of them here with us, here in the booth. And it's just been great to walk around, to see what they're doing. 2 Point Museum for Sega Europe. We've got the Stalker 2 team, GSC Game World, back with us, supporting them over the last couple of years has been a real highlight. So to get to be able to play their game again here is fantastic. We just walked over and checked out Winterborough.
No, it hasn't changed, Paul. It hasn't. PlayStation has made it perfectly clear their strategy is 100% different from Xbox. If you don't go listen to the actual earnings calls and listen to Hiroki Totoki and Herman Hulst, then you don't get to talk about what's changed because you're clearly uninformed. PlayStation's strategy is completely different. Nintendo's strategy is completely different. There are 3 different strategies in the industry, which means the industry isn't changing. Everybody's taking the approach to get the most success for their brands. To act as if everybody's going that way is completely dishonest.
We didn't really treat Gamescom with the respect that it deserves. Then we were focused more on PC. Now what we find here is putting our games on PC, on console, really matches to the diverse player base we see in Europe. Like some of the strongest franchises on PC are from here. You have great console support. So the most important thing for us is to show local support for creators, to put games in the hands of people. One thing that's great about Gamescom is you can come and you can play the games. You can feel what it's like to play Stalker or Vessel of Hatred from Diablo. Like, you get your chance here. And I think that's something special about this show, and it's so accessible to so much of Europe. I just love that we support it the way we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the sheer scale that it demands, as well as you were saying earlier, Sarah, absolutely.
With our little city here.
Yeah, the little city that we're building. We're the mayors. So I want to speak a little bit more on hardware, as we've gone over it a couple times here. Since I've not spoken to you since the showcase at all, which is criminal in and of itself, but we saw the 3 new options for the Xbox Series X and S. So I was wondering if there's a little bit more information we can share about that.
Well, pre-orders are starting today.
Yes, Sarah.
All right,
yeah,
get yours in. We're launching on October 15th in select markets, and we also have some very cool accessibility options, which we're going to be talking more about later today. And for holiday and the rest of this year, some very cool console wraps.
Yeah, Gamescom's always in Germany. I actually like the placement of the booth much more this year. Last time they had them on the floor and you couldn't hear them.
Very much, Sarah. Okay, console options done. We're going to hear they'll be coming just in time for Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which is amazing. Cannot wait for that.
Looked so good last night in the show.
Yeah, oh
Fantastic.
my goodness me, it was just
the campaign
silence.
from Raven, I thought was just awesome.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. Talking of games, I do want to know though, what are you going to be playing? Is there anything you've got your eye on? Last year we spoke about Rotato,
yeah.
and I wanted to give you an update and everyone at home that I have now 100% at Little Kitty Big City.
Nice.
And it is quite possibly the greatest game of all time. But yeah, is there anything on your backlog that you need to catch up on or anything coming up soon you want to dive into?
Well, the Game Pass lineup is making the backlog extraordinarily long.
Unforgivable.
And it's getting even better this year, both on console and PCs. We've got Aura coming, we have Age of Mythology, Flight Sim 2024.
Doesn't strategy change based on what's going on in the industry? Yes, and the company that failed to win in the console fight is taking a different strategy. PlayStation and Nintendo are not going to do what Xbox is doing. They're not. PlayStation is completely changing their outlook on bringing games to PC later. They're not going to bring games to Xbox. They're not going to do day and date on non-live service games. Even if they do a few in the future, they've already indicated that that's not their strategy. And Nintendo's not taking that strategy either. You have 3 different companies with 3 different approaches, right? So to pretend that what Xbox is doing is, this is where the industry's going. No, they're adapting to their position in the industry. That's what they're doing. They're not actually leading the industry. They're chasing it. And this is how they make money in it, is by doing what they're doing. PlayStation and Nintendo don't have to do that.
Kinitsugami,
Nice, yeah.
like our partners at Capcom doing new IP. It was awesome to be able to partner with them. It's something in Game Pass. As they're investing in new, like we can actually come in with some financial funding.
Concord's a live service game, so of course it's going day and date. Until Dawn's not a PlayStation game.
Just a really, really fun game. Some old school kind of tower defense mechanics. I love that. One of the things I get to do every month is I go through the ID selects with the team and we vote internally on games from different ID developers. Daydreams is a game I'm really liking. Little boy and his toy teddy bear, and kind of a single player type co-op game. It's fun.
I'm sold.
I think a couple months ago, High Water was a game that's really good. Like I love when I get a list of games from creators and teams I haven't seen before and get to dive in. I think there's like 15 of them. I play them, and my vote's just like anybody else's vote. You
yourself believe that Sony could go full PC by PlayStation 6. I have qualified that with an if. I said if they do their own launcher, and if they create that seamless ecosystem of your profile, then yes, I think they might start going day and date on PC with certain titles. I don't think they would go fully day and date because I believe that they're a hardware company. They believe in their hardware. So, like, again, you're misrepresenting what I'm saying if you think that I have said that. I have only said that if they do their own launcher. That's conditional on them completely changing the way that games hit PC right now. Right now, the way they hit PC is they're just trying to maximize revenue as well as try to bring people over to PlayStation by sequels and the like, as Herman Holst has indicated.
And buckle up, because we want to help you win one. Now, over to Bex with more information.
Well, thanks, Charlie. So not only are these honeys available for pre-order right now, anyone watching the broadcast has a chance to enter to win either the 1 terabyte Xbox Series X all digital edition, by the way, the 1 terabyte Xbox Series X.
Yeah, Kelswitz, it's not a PlayStation game, though. It's not a PlayStation studio. Until Dawn, doing what it's doing with the remake, again, people cherry pick. You're not indicating a strategy shift. As I said when I first responded to Paul, unless you're actually going to quote Hiroki Totoki and Herman Holst in context with what they're talking about, then you're just showing that you're grinding a false narrative axe. It is very clear from PlayStation's own mouth to their shareholders that they are not moving to day and date on PC. Herman Holst said quite the opposite. He's like, we are not doing that. And then he said, you will see us doing that with live service games, as they've said for 3 or 4 years. None of that is an indication that they're doing what Xbox is doing. Both PlayStation and Nintendo are proof that their strategy works. They're not going to do what Xbox is doing. Xbox had to change strategy because they were losing. This will probably end up being copyrighted anyway. Hasio with a gifted member, thank you so much. Like, that debate is just tired. It's such a tired debate. You have to misrepresent things. You have to cherry pick. You have to misquote. It was published by Sony. Helldivers is second party as well. Yeah, it being published by Sony does not change the fact that it is not a first-party studio. It also doesn't change the fact that you are not representing what the company has said that they are doing. The company has never indicated they're doing what Xbox is doing. They've quite literally said, we're not doing that to their shareholders. So you are factually incorrect.
Right here behind me, attendees can experience the demo for the...
Yeah, I don't care about this. Like, don't you understand that when they tell their shareholders, we are not doing day and date, Xbox walked out years ago and said, we are going to start putting games day and date on PC. And then they said, it's not going to be all of them. And then they ended up saying, oh no, it's going to be all of them, right? PlayStation has said quite literally the opposite statement. They have said that we will not be putting our big first-party narrative tentpole titles day and date on PC. And then Herman Hull says, what you will see then, conversely, he makes it sort of like a comparative statement, you will see us doing that with live service games. He said that years ago in an interview, which makes sense. Live service games, you try to maximize your funnel, and those aren't seen as the tentpole titles. They're seen as experimental new endeavors to get into more revenue streams, because live service is quite profitable if you make the right moves. So again, if you want to run to live service games, which are not demonstrative of their strategy, as they've indicated that in shareholders' calls, and then you want to go to something like Until Dawn, I'm serious, your argumentation is just weak. It's uninformed. It's just desperate. It's like, well, the only way I can cope with what Xbox is doing as a brand is to falsely claim that PlayStation's doing the same thing. Like, you're just lying to yourself and to other people, I guess, just to cope with the fact that your brand has completely shifted and changed and no longer cares about the console or the console user. Thanks for the gift at Haseo, rounding us out to 250, halfway to the weekly goal. You the man. I now owe you guys 5. All right, what's this? Is this the new is this something new with Overwatch?
Right. We're wondering why you haven't fired primary boosters yet. All systems appear optimal.
I just need a minute. It is so hard to say goodbye to the only home I've ever known.
I understand, but the colony isn't safe anymore, and our window of opportunity is closing. So let's get you on your way to your new home.
Next stop, Earth. Initiating boosters in 3, 2, 1. Control?
Our sensors indicate an external issue.
External?
Follow protocols and you'll be fine. But you have to hurry.
I'm going to find a way to save you. All of you. I think I see the problem.
Copy that.
Okay.
Don't panic. You're okay.
I am definitely not okay. Why did I think I could do this?
Juno, I believe in you. You've trained for this kind of thing your whole life. You have all the tools you need.
Okay.
God of War, Spider-Man, Last of Us. If you had said these would be on PC last gen, that would be people would have laughed. So that's a change. Yeah, and do you see what you're doing? Now you're being specific, and there's nuance. There are clear differences between what PlayStation's doing and Xbox is doing. So it is completely disingenuous and dishonest, and frankly a little pathetic to keep trying to drive a narrative that, well, the industry is changing and this is where things are heading. No, Microsoft is employing their own strategy to maximize profit because they failed to win the console war, right? That doesn't mean that Nintendo and PlayStation are going to do the same thing. And then to generically be like, well, see, that's evidence that the industry is changing. No, it's evidence that the companies are changing in accordance to their standing. Do you honestly think with PlayStation's current standing in the market, they have any interest in going and doing what Xbox is doing? Not just putting games day and date on PC, but on rival platforms? Again, it's disingenuous. And then for you to try to, like, I guess, cope to be like, well, I am right. The industry is changing because, look, PlayStation's changing. No, you're saying two completely different statements. It's a dog whistle talking point for Phil Spencer to walk out and be like, yep, this is where the industry's headed. The industry's changing. So all the podcasts can cope with the fact that the brand has completely dissolved into a publisher.
For my records, where did you come from?
I am from Mars, and my name is Juno.
It's one of the fastest selling games in Blizzard's history, and it just made headlines again at last night's opening night live. And here to give us an exclusive look at Diablo 4's newest expansion, please welcome General Manager Rod Ferguson, Systems Designer Aislinn Hall, and Lead Game Designer Rex Dixon. Welcome, guys, to Gamescom.
Thank you for having us.
How you guys all doing? Yeah, it's exciting stuff. Now, for those of the people out there that might have missed what happened last night, why don't you clue us in? What exactly did you just do?
Yeah, well, last night was exciting. So our game director for their Vessel of Hatred expansion, Brent Gibson, got on stage and he talked about something that we've been going even deeper on the expansion. You know, we've talked about the Spiritborn, the class, we've talked about the new zone, Nahantu, talked about the new story campaign, but we're like, there's even more in the expansion than that. And so we really want to get into like different ways that people want to play the game. And so we introduced the Undercity of Kuras, which is our new dungeon, which Rex will talk about. We have our new Dark Citadel, which is our multiplayer co-op. And then the big thing was our trailer last night for our Mercenaries.
Ah, Mercenaries. Now, let's talk about them for a sec, because this is a brand new gameplay feature. We'll talk about new class and all that kind of stuff in a sec, but Mercenaries seems really interesting. You showed off like this vignette with 4 different characters. I mean, introduce us to them. Who are these people? Why did it feel like the right time to bring it in now? And how do you hope players are going to engage with the Mercenaries?
Yeah.
Rex?
So I think the franchise has a legacy of followers and mercs, and we wanted to really reimagine that formula. And so we added this feature called Mercenaries to the game. There's 4 mercenaries that you can recruit. One is Rahir, one is Variana, Subo, and Aldkin, the demon child, which everyone got very excited about at the show the other night. And so there's a lot of depth in Mercenaries. So you'll meet Rahir in the campaign. He'll introduce you to this hideout called the Merc Den. And within the Merc Den, you can find these quests. You have to go on these story-based quests to actually acquire the Merc in order for them to party with you. So each Merc has his own backstory, his own personality. And then once you acquire them, you can bring them into your party with you. And essentially, it facilitates a way that solo players never have to feel like they're alone again.
Yeah, I don't know why they're saying this is new. That was in Diablo 3. Why are they saying Mercenaries are new? Couldn't you have companions with you and give them gear? I remember doing that in Diablo 3.
Which skills you want them to have, and it's a really nice way to complement your build. So whatever build you're trying to go with, you can have the Merc set up so their skills kind of match and overlap with your own. We also have a system called Rapport. The more you work with a Merc and the more you adventure with them, the more they can sort of give you more benefits and they can kind of grow in power.
Right, Paul. Let me say it this way. Let me say it this way to you, Paul. If you listen to Herman Hull's strategy with why they're bringing PlayStation titles to PC, it is still a console-centric strategy. It is quite literally taking their tentpole titles years later in the hopes that they might be coaxed to buy a PlayStation 5 for a sequel. And it appears to be working, since a significant portion of the people who own a PS5 did not own a PS4. We have numerous people in our own community that bought a PS5 purely because they wanted to play God of War Ragnarok or Spider-Man 2. They didn't want to wait for the sequel to be ported to PC. So even if you actually listen to their strategy and what they're doing, it's quite clear PlayStation's strategy with PC is 100% different than Xbox's strategy. Xbox started doing multi-day and date launches to attempt to maximize reach of their ecosystem and their content, and PlayStation said, we'll bring stuff to PC later, not day and date, in order to coax people to come into our ecosystem and to our hardware. They're different strategies because one company's winning and the other isn't. It's that simple.
Associate myself with him because I'm a dad as well. I got 2 boys.
Right.
But also, I have a problem.
Why are they bringing Lego Horizon to Switch? See, again, you're completely misrepresenting that if you think that is an effort to go into publisher multiplat. Lego games are licensed with Lego, and often Lego is going to want to negotiate where it lands, same way that Marvel and Disney and any other property owner is going to license a property. Lego is going to want that game to be in more places, and honestly, Nintendo, as according to PlayStation themselves, they are not competing with Nintendo for high-end console market. So a Lego game landing on Nintendo Switch with one of their most popular IPs and franchises is a very, very smart move. A bunch of people are going to be like, oh, Horizon seems pretty cool. Where could I play Horizon? Again, it is a strategy that is console-centric. You're not, I'm asking questions. Yeah, but you know why you're asking that. You're trying to insinuate that that's them putting their content everywhere, and it just simply is not.
I mean, that's...
Exactly. Thank you. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun, but now, as promised, why don't we cover some behind-the-scene looks at the making Diablo IV Vessel of Hatred. Check this out.
Why doesn't that apply for Indie and Blade for Xbox? Oh, because the same point that I've been driving the whole time, homie. Think about it. Xbox and Microsoft are negotiating rights to license Indie, and guess what? We know that Disney wants a certain royalty and a certain amount of sales for titles when they license them out. We learned this from the Insomniac leak about Spider-Man, and guess what? Xbox has lost the console war so horrendously that they're going to make Blade an Indie multiplat. Why? Because they're not going to be able to generate enough sales of the property. Their standing in the market is why they're doing what they're doing. That's what everybody keeps missing. This stupid BS hand wave of like, well, this is just where the industry's going. No, it's not where the industry's going. It's where you have to go because you failed. You're having to do this. That's the whole point. So we're talking over to Paul over the Diablo coverage. Do you really care about what they're saying? Like with spliced up footage? Seriously?
Associated with Mephisto. They themselves are kind of like a tar-like substance creature born straight out of the depths of hell.
It feels a little twisted. There's a sickness to the area itself.
Humans have ventured into this deep part of the jungle where there's all this poisonous plants and flora. The dregs actually started experimenting with eating these hallucinogens, and it put them into this aggressive psycho rage.
The dregs were pretty fun because we were able to push more variety in the monster family. You have one of these tall dregs and then half of a body of another dreg on top of it, kind of controlling it and telling it where to go and tossing poisonous bombs at the player. When you come across it, it's very memorable.
And then we've also got the area of Tenganse, where you've got the Tenganse Plateau, which is full of these red-rocked plateaus and canyons.
Imagine getting up above the land. Those gigantic walls have pockets inside where monsters could live. It offered up a lot of opportunity to bring back a monster family like the Lacunae.
We're bringing them back in a new way here as a fully fleshed out monster family with multiple classes.
What a more brute force looks like, what a caster looks like. They are very much apex predators, and we're definitely in their territory. And then there's a little sub-area called the Skittering Earth,
The name alone makes your skin crawl.
It's bug infested, and you can see how the bugs have destroyed the jungles and kind of put their influence on it. Within the Field of Giants, you have these giant corpses of these long-dead demons that humans have begun to mine away at for their resources. While they've got a lot of use out of them, they're also toxic to the land around it.
The notion of massive demons walking sanctuary 1,000 years ago is really thought-provoking.
Plateau's also got just this beautiful color scheme to the lighting. It's really lovely to be there. And then horrific at the same time, you know, it's great.
The mercenaries in Vessel of Hatred are a group of people who we like to describe as ordinary people with extraordinary skills. They have the same level of will to fight against the demons of hell.
And there's 4 mercs that you can collect over the course of the campaign. It starts with Rahir, a blacksmith and a shield bearer, is a more defensive fighter.
He's able to go in there and soak up damage, use his shield as a bulwark against the enemy.
You meet him early on in the campaign, and he's one who introduces you to the mercenary network. You end up finding acquisition quests for 3 other mercs that you can find throughout the course of the story.
Subo, the drunken archer, is going to work really well for people who want someone who's out of the main melee, in the back, offering utility and that kind of range support.
Then we have Ariana, a berserker crone, who's a melee combat fighter, close range. She's got a really cool combat meter, a massacre meter, where you need to keep killing enemies to get the meter to be filled.
She's got a bunch of really interesting utility skills that you can kind of build in.
Finally, we have the demon child S.T.A.L.K.E.R, who's a magic user who can transform himself from human form to demon form and join you in combat.
There's this really great reinforcement ability where you can take one of the mercenary skills and attach it to one of your powers so that when you use that skill, it calls them in to do a specific skill.
With the mercenaries for Vessel of Hatred, one of the things we are expanding on is the skill tree. For Diablo III, you had a very basic type of mercenary, but this time you can actually push a little bit more into the skill tree and make the mercenary the way you would want to play.
Going through each mercenary progression arc and outfitting their skill tree so that it's complementary to your character build, I think that's where the fun in the mercenary system really lies.
The Dark Citadel is a new endgame feature that's coming in Vessel of Hatred. It's an entirely cooperative player experience. All the mechanics within it are based around you working together with your party members to solve the challenges and face the first Khazra hordes within.
One of the outcomes of the Mage Wars is this giant crater and all the souls that were kind of lost in it from those wars.
The goal of the first Khazra, who are kind of the original Khazra, they're using the powers within the Citadel found within this crater to perform experiments to try and bring back their dark god.
Only recently, people have started going missing. They head into the Khazra region, they disappear, never to be seen again. So it's clear that whatever they're planning is about to come to fruition, and your job as the players to get in there and stop it.
Citadels are a place where we take what is the best part of Diablo, combat, and we test it in a different way, which is adding in cooperative mechanics that you have to manage on top of that.
For example, a boss has an attack, and as a player, you have to collect an item that allows you to reflect the attack back at him. So there's a little bit of a Twitch-level mechanic there where you actually have to time your reaction shot. What's interesting about it is when you get multiple people in there, we're each responsible for reflecting that shot once, so we all have to sort of master the timing of that move. You can't do that kind of thing without coordinating as a team, and that's sort of the example of what Citadel gameplay feels like.
When designing the Citadel, we designed a lot of really cool bosses. And so one of the things that we did is we took that design and made like armor sets for each of the classes. That way you feel like you took their armor and you feel like you're wearing a little bit of them after your victory.
We also have a currency that's dedicated to the Citadel, where as you play through, a vendor can be interacted with to buy custom cosmetics that are unique to the Citadel. You can play with 2 people, but the ideal experience is for 4. In order to facilitate that, we've built an all-new Party Finder feature, and the community has been pretty vocal about wanting this for a long time. It made a lot of sense to us to pair it with this new Citadel mode.
It really is an activity that's geared towards people who love to play together with their friends or with strangers and enjoy that cooperative gameplay. I cannot wait for players to get into the world. I'm really just excited for people to see all the little hidden storytelling elements that the team has fit in.
So there's interesting things to find and see and discover around every corner, and it's just a really great experience getting to explore and how to.
I mean, Party Finder, that is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I'm not trying to talk. Excuse me. I'm not trying to talk over all the footage. I know a lot of you guys are interested in Diablo, so you know me. I get caught up in the debate, and my lack of care about Diablo doesn't mean that you guys don't care about it. So that was my bad. I mean, for real, if you guys want to have a discussion about that, I mean, this is the stuff that I probably will talk over because I don't think this stuff is as important than like the gameplay or whatever. I just continue to think there's nothing wrong with saying things are changing, but don't pretend that everybody's doing what Xbox is doing. I think that's what irritates me because it basically is denial, and I find that to be dishonest. And to me, as somebody who doesn't like the path that Xbox has taken, I just find it to be very disingenuous and misrepresentative of their evolution to be like, yeah, well, PlayStation's doing it too. I just that is factually incorrect, and that's why I was, pushing back.
Fan requested feature, which is our scroll of retempering. So no more bricked items. You'll be able to apply the scroll and get all new tempering charges on that item. So I know everyone's very excited about that, and Dark Citadel's the best place to go to get that.
Excellent. Well, there is a lot in that, but it isn't the only thing that you're launching on October 8th. So what else we got to look forward to?
Yeah, so on October 8th, we're also going to be launching Season 6 alongside Vessel of Hatred. And Season 6 is going to have a ton of content that's bespoke. It's totally separate and unique to Season 6, and it's going to be free for all Diablo IV players, which is awesome.
Nice.
We're going to be talking a lot more about the details of the content of Season 6 in the coming months, but there's not going to just be new content coming in Season 6. Alongside Season 6 and Vessel of Hatred, we also have major character progression updates coming to Diablo 4.
I'm going to have to ask for some specifics, surely. That teasing me too much. What else you got?
Yeah. So if you're familiar or you've played Season 4 Loot Reborn, you know we did a lot of itemization changes that kind of fundamentally altered a lot about how you're playing the game and how you're getting rewards. The scope of the character progression changes that are coming in Season 6 are... It's the same. It's the same grand scale. There's a lot of changes coming to character progression, a lot of improvements coming. I'd love to talk a little bit about the goals and also a little bit about some Paragon changes that are coming with the character progression updates. Yeah, so...
their glasses, I feel like I'd be so nervous to wear glasses like that. Like, they look cool, but like the no frame, just like free open glass. It just looks so interesting to me. Like, I'd be worried they would break or something.
The game. We wanted to make sure that you could opt in to your challenge level that you're comfortable with so that you can set your own pace in any activity throughout all of Diablo 4. And so we've applied, basically, if you've played Season 4 Loot Reborn, or you've played some in Season 5, you might be familiar with the Profane Mind Cage. That's an item that allows you in the Hell Tides to up the level of the monsters.
Yo, Hasio, thank you for all of the gifted members today, dude. You've been killing it.
That philosophy throughout all of Diablo 4. You can kind of opt into your own challenge and then get more stuff because of it.
Sick.
And then alongside that, we also have a lot of changes coming to Paragon. We wanted to add depth and choice to the Paragon system, but we know that it's pretty daunting for some people, right? So we wanted to make sure that while we were doing that, we weren't increasing the complexity, right? We want to make sure that it's still that it's an approachable thing, but there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. And I could go on forever and ever and ever about this for hours. But we're going to have a lot more details in a developer live stream on August 29th. We're going to have a campfire chat where we're going to be talking all about this.
Welcome back, Storm, with the VIP.
Absolutely buzzing to see it.
I mean, the best way to phrase it is like what Season 4 did to loot, Season 6 will do to progression.
Excellent.
And the thing, too, but just go back to the Party Finder, like there's things that people look at, like what's part of the expansion and what's not. Party Finder is coming to the game, not just to the expansion. So,
oh, great.
And what's great about it is not only can you access it through the social menu that you can see, or you can access it through your remote wheel, you can actually access it from the map. So when you say, oh, I'm going to go do this dungeon, you can say, and list it as a party that people come join me in this dungeon. So it's a feature that's going to apply to the entire game.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I should also mention, in addition to Dark Citadel, we have another mode that we're bringing to the table, which is called Undercity. And Undercity is a time dungeon where you want to beat it before the timer runs out. And that mode has modifiable rewards. So you get these things called tributes, and depending on which tribute you use, you can modify and scale your rewards with the difficulty. It's a really cool mode. We're really excited. And one of the reasons we built these two modes is this concept of new ways to play. Right? People love our game. They love Nightmare Dungeons. They love Whispers. They love Helltides. But what we really want to do is make sure we have enough canvas so that every user can find something that is uniquely suited to them. And that's what New Ways to Play is all about.
Me and my friends, we just love being able to have a bit of choice, which is really fun in Infernal Hordes in the current season, for example, and being able to tailor exactly how messed up we want this level to get is really fun. So the fact that it's getting applied to more aspects of Diablo that's awesome to hear. But between now and the Season 6 launch and Vessel of Hatred, what other activities can players get up to whilst they wait?
I mean, really, just jumping into Season 5, you know, like you were talking about, Season 5 continues the pace of Season 4. You can level up really fast. It's very exciting. The Infernal Hordes is a great new mode. Which is fun. It's sort of a horde mode where wave after wave are coming after you. Can go and fight the Fell Council to get your rewards from that.
There's a show tomorrow and the day after, Butters.
I haven't played through the campaign yet. That's one of the nice things about on the Vessel of Hatred is that it is a continuation of that story. So where Neyrelle left at the end of the game, you can pick that story up and you get to continue and play. So if you haven't played through the campaign yet, now's a great time. And I would be, I have to also do the pitch, right? Like,
go on.
It's an awesome time to pre-purchase the expansion. One of the things we had some great incentives before, where you get the new cat mount, you get new armor, you get pets now, you have snow leopard and the tiger that'll follow you around and pick up stuff.
Yeah, Phantom Blade Zero is not next year, SDO. I don't think so. I thought they said 2026. Guys, take a quick second if you're enjoying the show. Smash the like button. We are going to be covering this as well as a future game show later. I know this segment with Diablo is getting a little long in the tooth, but it's one of their bigger titles, so they're probably wanting to give it, its due time.
If you haven't, jumped in yet, or if you want to add an extra month onto your subscription, pick up, the pre-purchase, and you'll get an extra month. And I already got my code last night. I watched the show, got back to my hotel room, and there was my code for a month of Ultimate. So it was awesome.
Now you got to find some other games to play while you're on that as well.
Yeah,
in between Diablo.
Is that possible? I don't know if that's possible.
That's true. I mean, I've already put in quite a few hours into the current season, and it's so much fun as is, and I just can't wait to see the Season 6 drop as well, and Vessel's looking great, new class as well. I mean,
thank you so much.
I don't know what else I'm going to play in the meantime. You guys have just killed all my free time.
Well, it's great. One of the nice things is we have a demo deck on the booth here. We have the whole Hantu corrupted, temple, and it's actually got a 20-minute demo of the Spiritborn. And what's great about it is you go in and you can pick whether you want to be a gorilla type or a centipede type or a jaguar type or an eagle type, based on the Spirit Guardians. But then when it sort of clicks in after you played it for a little bit.
Yeah, that's a really good point that Eugene is making. That if you think about timelines of strategy changing, Xbox announced Quantum Break coming to PC in 2016, and in less than 4 years, actually I think it was like 3 years, they were putting every game on PC day and date. So it only took them about 3 years to completely change strategy. Horizon Zero Dawn hit PC in 2020. And we're now going to be close to 5 years since that happened, and it's clear that PlayStation's strategy has not changed. They continue to do the exact same thing. They bring titles to the PC later.
Thanks a lot. You're going to stick around because we need to talk about that. Rex, Aislinn, thanks so much for joining us. Changing gears now, though, we are, for those of you who have been counting down the days to September's Diablo Immortal major update, we've got a sneak peek at the making of Immortal's hellish bosses, including the rebirth of the Dark Lord of Terror himself.
Are unspeakable horrors that you are fighting.
Our boss experiences aren't something that you can get in any other game.
We are giving players this heightened sense of horror.
We have to deliver the player with experience that they're the hero.
I think the spectrum of bosses that we have definitely hit everybody's personal horror stories.
So we're like 50 bosses now. Some of our bosses in Immortal are incredibly deadly, and we're really proud to be able to actually have the ability to bring Diablo back into our universe.
everything that Diablo does, everything that Diablo says needs to be unnerving, terrifying.
It is going to be a very, very difficult battle.
The music changes, the environment changes, and all of a sudden, you have to fight for your life.
The process of designing a Diablo boss is usually quite organic.
It really depends on the boss. Sometimes it starts with a cool mechanical idea. Sometimes it starts with kind of a narrative germ.
The story team is going to have a lot of say in terms of like, what is the fiction behind the boss? And so what is the feel behind the boss?
In some zones, we are going to lavish incredible build-up on a boss, especially the final boss. In Tristram Cathedral, before you fight Albrecht, the first Shardborn, there's a whole quest line that has you exploring the ruins of Leoric Manor and learning about his past. And so at the end, when you face him, there's this context and kind of a richness to the things that he is saying to you.
Your flesh will hush the voices.
That if you are paying attention to the dialogue, will maybe resonate a little bit more emotionally.
Do you see how much stronger I've become?
Once they have the mechanics down and how they feel the battle should go, then they get all that together and then it gets passed off to art.
When it comes to designing a Diablo boss, there definitely is a long list of visual elements that we go to. Spikes, demon horns, rotten skin, decaying skin, burnt skin, different diseased skin. How do we stretch the skin out to make it look really uncomfortable? We take different parts of the body and then we twist them in very uncomfortable, awkward ways. We love using different humanoid bodies and then almost melting them together. The intention in creating Diablo bosses is to instill a general feeling of unease. So if it starts to feel like we have pushed it too hard, that's usually the comfort spots.
We have so many different representations of evil and horror, so no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, you can always bet that there is something in our game that is going to terrify you.
So we have many different kinds of bosses in Diablo Immortal. Bosses that are almost too big for the level. They're not mobile. You only see the top half of their bodies. We have tanks where the main goal is to just get this big, giant hunk of meat and beat it up until it dies. We have co-op bosses that are, better with friends, working together as a team to really take on these puzzles that the bosses present. And then we have mind-bending bosses that really change the way you play the game, what your perception is of the boss. But my favorite boss in the game is the Butcher.
Bringing the Butcher into Diablo Immortal was quite a journey for us because it is such a beloved character in the Diablo lore.
When I was playing Diablo 1 for the first time, there was this shock associated with encountering the Butcher. You open the door, he steps out, he's cleaving you very, very fast. You're like, I've never seen anything like this before. What the hell is happening? I'm dead.
We wanted the Butcher to be the real Butcher from the first Diablo. So it was kind of like, how do we bring him into our game and what can we make more special about this particular encounter?
Our Butcher is super intimidating. He's a gigantic boss, towering above the player.
This is the Butcher that was basically too angry to die. He's just shoving his guts back in. He's got the chain that he throws. He's got the rush, he's got the fire coming out of the ground, and it's just a fun, nostalgic fight. We've been building towards this encounter with Diablo since the launch of the game.
Diablo is the Lord of Terror. His food and drink is the fear of other beings.
He has this very recognizable silhouettes with his giant horns on his head and also down his back. He has this very intimidating smile that is signature to Diablo.
Diablo having a World Stone Shard means he's entering the nuclear age. He is now walking around with a weapon of mass destruction to bend reality, to perhaps create new realities.
The whole team is excited. It's electric. Getting to bring back Big Red and then unleash him, not just on one boss fight, but on an entire zone, on Sanctuary itself.
This Diablo is going to deliver a very epic experience, as good as any other Diablo games.
It's going to be the best Diablo ever. I said it here first.
It is going to be possibly the most difficult battle in the game ever.
Well, they're called Lilith's Mightiest Warriors, and I'm not just talking about our guests here, but joining us once again, this time to tell us more about what we just saw. We've got Diablo's GM, Rod Ferguson, and please welcome Diablo Immortal's executive producer, Pei Wen Yao.
Hi.
Thanks so much for joining us, Pei Wen.
Thanks for having me.
What the hell was that?
Yo, a huge 20 bomb from MASH, and I am going to talk over Diablo Immortal because frick Diablo Immortal. So I actually, if you like Diablo Immortal, I'm sorry. No, for real, frick this game. All that for a mobile game. Yeah, they went through boss design philosophy for a dadgum mobile game? Like, what is going on? Like, are we going to get into, like, the psychology of color use about Candy Crush next? Jiminy frickin' Christmas, dude. Like, thank you, dude. A 20 bomb from MASH takes us to 280 on the week. Y'all are the best. I was just typing a response to Mr. Kirk here. He says intentions matter. Xbox's intention was to mislead people, and it was successful in that effort. Framing this as if any other way is not acknowledging the intentions behind the statement. And I say intentions matter, but so does listening comprehension. Ignoring the CFO and CEO and even Phil Spencer himself in November of 2023 in the Famitsu interview made folks laugh at statements like this. Like, people were literally laughing at people like me. Like, they were like, look, man, you got to listen to what Phil's saying. You know? You got to listen to what Phil's saying. Kirk is right. I don't think he's right. No. Phil answered the question honestly. If you are not smart enough to catch what Phil said, that's on you. If you're that easily misled, you have the intellect of a child. I mean that. Like, if you were misled by what Phil Spencer said, that's on you. You're gullible, you're a sucker. It's that simple. He said it so plainly and so clearly, and people refused to listen. They did the same dadgum thing when Windows Central did an interview with Phil Spencer at the end of 2023, and he said, we have no plans to bring Game Pass to PlayStation or Nintendo. The same thing happened. If you're that gullible and you're that easy to be lied to, I mean, there's a sucker born every minute. You're just signing up for it. That's your own fault. That's your own fault. And a gifted from Patrick and a renewal from Fuzzy to VIP. Time for my monthly edition count. Thank you so much. Taking us to 282. Phil spoke in what that he knew less than bright people would be misled, or what people who were willing to be misled would be. That doesn't make him honest. I mean, I'm not saying he was honest. I'm saying he answered the question accurately. It was like that these 4 games, it's not Indiana Jones or Starfield. His statement was honest, but being asked that question, knowing Indie Port was in development, his response is kind of crappy. I mean, now that I'll agree with you, Gene. I will. But I simply will not take up for people who are willing to be tricked or are so easily tricked. That's on you, bro. That's on you. Like, to suddenly turn this around and to, like, try to turn Phil Spencer into a villain, you're the dummy. Seriously. They made it so crystal clear. He did a Famitsu interview at the end of 2023 where he indicated the strategy was changing, that they viewed Nintendo and PlayStation differently. And he said Minecraft was the catalyst. The CFO said, you're going to see a change in strategy. We're going to put first-party games on platforms that were previously considered competitors. And the only thing that Phil Spencer said they weren't planning on doing was bringing Game Pass to rival consoles. That's your answer right there. The CFO says we're looking at putting games on other platforms, and Phil says, oh, we're not looking into putting Game Pass on other platforms. So when that podcast rolled around and he said, you know, of those 4, no, it's we're going to do these 4 and then we're going to see how it goes. And then he does an interview with The Verge in the same exact day and says, listen, we're not taking anything off the table. If you were tricked by that podcast, then you had it coming. You're easy to trick. Good night. It's like when you do a magic trick for a baby and you like hold it and just throw it over your shoulder. Like it's like doing a magic trick for a baby. It's like you shouldn't be so easily fooled. A gifted from True SSJ Havoc and 2 spot from True SSJ Havoc. Been a while since I sent one, dude. Thank you so much. Guys, I am talking over this because I genuinely don't want to give airtime to Diablo Immortal. I don't like that game for more reasons than just not liking it. Yeah, Paul has been, me and Paul, we don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but he's been in my corner since day one when I said Starfield is launching exclusively on Xbox and PC, and I said the only other place I could find that verbiage used was for Ghostwire Tokyo, and the same marketing department that wrote that. Like, they wrote it for Ghostwire, they wrote it for Starfield. Why? Because they knew they were leaving that door open. Yeah, I saw the Tom Warren quote. I mean, we watched that live, Mandela. We've like Eugene said, we've in a matter of just months, we've gone from just these 4 titles to one of their biggest titles. Indiana Jones is like one of their biggest marquee IPs right now. It's a long-standing movie franchise, and it's coming to PlayStation, you know, months after being an exclusive. It's just a huge shift. And to be like, oh, but he said on a podcast, man, that's on you, bro. That's on you for being so easily fooled. Let's be fair. Sometimes it's the kiddo's first big CEO man giving you the corpo speak encounter. It's not always their fault. Listen, and here's why I say that you're too easily fooled. If you are on Twitter, if you are on YouTube, if you are this engaged in gaming culture, gaming news, gaming coverage, and you thought when Phil Spencer said that he was trying to tell you that Indiana Jones and Starfield wouldn't go to other platforms, I hold you to a higher standard of comprehension, because you're not some casual gamer who plays Fortnite and Candy Crush. You're involved. Like, you're not like out in the working world every day paying zero attention to this, and you just play Candy Crush on your lunch break and you go home and play Fortnite or Warzone with the boys. You are engaged. You listen to earnings calls. You listen to shareholder reports. You should not be so easily fooled. I'm holding you to a higher standard of intellect and comprehension, because you have failed. You have failed for the last year and a half to see what Xbox was doing. And many of the people that completely failed to see this use their platforms and their reach and their Twitter accounts, their podcasts and their YouTube channels to obfuscate, to spin, and to attack and to malign anybody who said, man, Xbox is heading towards third party, Xbox is heading towards publishing, Xbox is going to start putting their content on other platforms. And instead of just having a disagreement about that and arguing it from like a business perspective or a logical perspective, they made it personal. So frankly, I don't care if a bunch of those people got tricked. They were asking for it. It's as simple as that. Phil spoke to different people at different times, so his statements were different. He's a salesman. Right. If you can't see that, that's why I hold people to a higher standard of comprehension, because the same day that they did that podcast, there was a Verge article, an interview with Phil, where he said that he would not take Starfield and Indiana Jones off the table. If you can't see that as a sign that you should not take his statements from the podcast super duper literally, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to convince you. We couldn't even debate the merits? Yeah, we couldn't even debate the merits of it, like the merits of the strategy shift, or if this was something that was going to be happening. It just all turned into this villainous console war crap. And it's like, I don't want a console war. I want to talk about what Xbox is doing. I think it's interesting. I think in the grand scheme of video game history, it's interesting watching one of the biggest companies in the world completely change their strategy, and to watch people claim that they were bullied by Sony, which is just hilarious, to claim that a company that's like 100 times larger got bullied. Like, I guess David bullied Goliath too, you know? The little shepherd boy with the sling bullied the giant with the spear, the sword, and the armor and the shield. That's what you're trying to claim here. It's ridiculous. They're spending more time on Immortal than the paid expansion. People like this cheered for the Bethesda and the ABK acquisition, but all of a sudden says exclusives are bad. Well, yeah, it was all about, of course they're going to spend this money and make games exclusive. And yes, of course, now it's exclusives are bad. Oh, this makes me think of that old school skiing game on those old where the snowman would come and eat you.
It's a skiing game in which players need to find their own way down the mountains in a wild and beautiful mountainscape. Our most important new features are a real-time online multiplayer in which up to 8 players can play cooperatively or in a competition, as well as a new trick system that allows you to pull off awesome-looking flips, spins, grabs, or super cool combinations of them all. We focused a lot of the development time on the controls and to make the feeling of carving down the slopes as smooth and fun as possible. Skiing is all about using the terrain in your favor. You need to gain the maximum momentum to do the longest jumps and use the best shortcuts. On top of that, you can also do tricks, ride backwards, or cross rivers and icy lakes.
Yeah, David Lilly, we watched Phil Spencer answer the question live. I reacted to it live. It's at the beginning of this broadcast.
The online multiplayer racing mode is all about crossing the finish line first. While in the team mode, you and your team members have to ride and do tricks together to ramp up the highest score and beat all the challenges. You can also pick each other up after a crash and place checkpoints as a group.
I think there's something really charming about how the snow looks real and they look like little toy models, and like the set pieces look like toy models. There's something charming about this game.
Also try to reach the top of the leaderboards or beat your own ghosts. This is the mode that will be most familiar to players of our previous game. And last but not least, there is the new Zen mode. Here, you can ride all trails without any kind of pressure and freely explore the mountains to find secret spots or just enjoy the beautiful landscape. Whether you're playing multi or single player, you will gain experience to level up your profile, unlock new ski types and trick poses, and a large variety of customization items.
Ghost in the Garage Gaming says, we tried to tell them when the Microsoft CFO was talking to real money people, not journalists or fanboys, but actual investors. They didn't want to believe it. Ghost, I'm telling you, this is just a Game Pass commercial. I'm telling you, bro, we've been out here saying for the longest time, you always listen to the CFO, the CEO. I remember watching Xbox fans and podcasters say that the CFO should shut his mouth, or that the CFO, or that like they should rein the CFO in. He shouldn't be out here saying this stuff, because they literally thought when Phil Spencer did his Windows Central interview that like he was walking back what the CFO said. I found that entire thing to just be hilarious. I was like, do you have any idea the legal ramifications of what you're saying? That like the CFO went to a Wells Fargo summit, spoke to investors and would-be investors, and talked about the future strategy of the platform, and they were supposed to assume he was only talking about ABK and that Phil Spencer had to come in and clean up the mess. No, Phil Spencer came in to try to quiet your rage because the CFO said the quiet part out loud.
Right now, it's easier than ever to join the party, especially if you play on PC. Why? Because PC Game Pass is designed for PC players. Get new games on day one like Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on October 25th. Play some of the biggest games of the year and unlock partner benefits from Riot Games and EA Play. And if you're not already a PC Game Pass member, join now and get your first month of PC Game Pass for $1 or €1. This offer won't last long, so act now. But first, this post-apocalyptic horror action title is set against 64 kilometers of eerie, explorable area. It's also one of the most anticipated games of the year, and here to bring us back into the zone with some never-before-seen gameplay of Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, please welcome game director Eugene Grigorovich. Eugene, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting.
No, honestly...
I think I read somewhere, did somebody play this and they said that it looked really good? Was that Linneman?
For you to take us through what you've brought with us today, but how's your first Gamescom?
The previous was a year ago when we bring our demo, which was shown just on the PC.
Yeah.
And today we are bringing another demo, which will launch on Xbox Series X. And from our experience, it's looking very good. And we are happy for what we bring here and what we get the first impression from the players and the press. And for now, I'm happy from what they are telling us about the Xbox build.
Yeah, I got to have hands-on with it, and it is so much fun. Because what we're going to do as well is we're going to hop straight into the gameplay that you're going to talk us through. So anyone watching who's excited to see Stalker 2 for the first time, if they haven't already.
It looks like they brought a PC version, though. They were all playing mouse and keyboard, right?
Kind of. So are we going to bring the gameplay up so we've got it on our screens? So as we go, if you want to talk us through this gameplay, so we can know what we've got coming up.
Yeah. I'll take this part. So here the player is doing his first quest, and he got a...
I want to talk over this just for a quick second because it's relevant to the game. John Linneman from Digital Foundry tweeted, I played Stalker 2 on an actual Series X. It's shaping up very well technically. I'm impressed. Surprisingly great image quality. All right. I hope that's true because I think this is one of the cooler games this year. I've been wanting this game, and I've been saying delay it with as much time as you possibly need because I really feel for these guys that have been working on this game.
What is the goal of the character, why he's doing it, and he's learning the story about your character also by doing this quest line.
Because this is actually the bit that they've got on the show floor here, isn't it? At the start of the game. Because I had so much fun. I get what you mean as well when you're just trying to discover what exactly it does, and the storyline sets that up. But what about the combat in the game as well? Because we can kind of see our first fight here.
Yeah. So it's a group of bandits. They were resting just nearby in their camp and doing their cheeky-breaky stuff. And then they saw that something happened. A wall was destroyed with a huge noise. They just turned up, going to see what's happening, and found you, a player, and
it's amazing as well because I found myself when I was playing this I was like the flashlight turning on and off, and like you can also like lean round corners, can't you, to kind of like engage fights from like a bit of cover.
Yeah, so it's very important in this game to have a proper tactics. You should hide a lot. You should use your medkits. You should survive grenades because AI is very pushing and challenging. Yeah. They're trying to outcome you, to go from other side, and it's pretty stressful. So it's a first fight. It's a very simple fight against...
Yeah, Paul, it looks like there's a realism to it that might rub people the wrong way. I kind of like it. Like there didn't seem like a ton of aim assist, and it did seem like it's kind of hard to see, which is a layer of realism that I think looks cool.
Game is like looting. So what kind of things should people be looking out for when they're looting?
Yeah, so the part of the game, so while we are fighting, we are losing our resources, consumables, food, ammo, and after the fight finished, we have to get through the dead bodies' pockets to find some ammunition, maybe loot their camp to restore what we just spent, because without it, we just run out of ammo and the player would be like stuck.
Because that's the big thing I have. I am very trigger happy when it comes to first-person shooters. Like, I fire way more bullets than I should. And then I found myself as well. I was like, I need to go check every building that I can because I need more ammo. Like, what kind of advice would you say for players hopping into Stalker 2 to spend their time in the world?
So the reason why you should discover and look for some stashes in locations is not because you just want to find some items, but because it's interesting to discover this abandoned place where was some living some time ago, and where is some story behind it. And when you are just walking around and looking for the corners, and it's beautiful there, you can surprisingly find something stashed there, because it's an Stalker stashes. They use some stashes for their next journeys, because they can bring like hundreds of thousands of kilograms. They have to make some stashes for there, and players sometimes find them, and it's often rewardable, and often it's very rewardable, because you can get a huge equipment boost by just going to some building you didn't expect to find anything there, but it could be there.
That's what I found. I found myself like an assault rifle when I just had a pistol to start with. I was like exploring buildings and found that. But the game also, it looks amazing.
Yeah, this is the start of a next fight. The player, we have some stealth mechanics.
Yeah.
So it's not very as you used to have a stealth in the game. It doesn't offer you like ability to be invisible for enemies. No, they will see you and shoot you. But at least it allows you to get slightly closer, to find better position to start the fight, and or maybe to initiate the fight with a grenade, so it would be easier for you. And then the fight is pretty challenging.
Yeah.
And you have to watch your hit points.
Yeah, this is an interesting exclusive because it's like a really short exclusive. It's only like 3 months or something, which I find very interesting. And with all the delays, I'm not sure if Xbox is maybe feeling a little bit differently about paying for the exclusivity, because they kind of don't pay for timed exclusivity anymore. Take a quick second, guys. Smash the like button. 750 people here, man. Let's get to 300 likes. Thanks for all the gifted members and new members as well.
And they provide additional boosts, but mostly it's restoring the hit points. But also, if you are not in the fight and you just need to recover a small portion of health, you can just eat, and it will also bring you a small portion of hit points.
See, that's what I loved as well. I found like there's so much resource management that you have to like pay attention to in Stalker, which really gives you a different challenge. So it's like you said, if you don't eat, you're going to perform worse in gunfights.
Yeah, so you have to watch about your state, just like you're watching about yourself. So we try to bring this simulation or atmosphere as you being the real human that goes to Chornobyl exclusion area with your backpack, with some food, and you just have to do the same things to survive in the game as in life, because you have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to like you fall, you broke your leg, you have to use some medkits to survive this, and that's what we are doing here.
Yeah, no, I honestly, like, it's one of those things. I'd recommend it to anyone if you haven't had the chance to just play the original Stalker as well, because when I got to play here, you just think and approach gunfights so differently, because there is that like risk element, and some of the enemies, like I was jumping out of my skin because there was like a camouflaged opponent that I came across in the demo here at Gamescom. And like, can you tell us a little bit more about the enemies that we're going to face?
Yeah, so the zone is inhabited by different factions. There are factions that came from the first Stalker trilogy, and there are new factions, and they have a story behind them of how they appear, what is their goals, and for the player, it would be interesting to uncover and discover these stories. And it's important to mention that from one walkthrough, the player won't know the whole story.
Yeah.
So you have to have several walkthroughs to get all these pieces together, or you could discuss it with your friend who choose some other path, and you can share the information about what you see to each other, and you uncover, oh, I didn't expect that it would happen like this. So it's, for me, I find it should be interesting for people to discuss their experience with each other.
Yeah, we also saw just beforehand, right, we can actually see the scanner going on right now. Can you talk us through this?
It's echo scanner. It's a simple scanner. You just beep, and the faster it beeps, the nearer is an artifact.
Yeah.
You can collect an artifact just by using scanner. And at this point, player faced that Bloodsucker is a canonical enemy in Stalker series. He has an ability to become invisible for player, and we found that
No. Sorry, I was listening to something. I wasn't about to fall asleep. I was listening to something.
he's doing quite challenging thing for the players, and but also it's very rewarding because when you start playing the game and you start facing some challenge for the first time.
I didn't want my microphone to pick it up, so I was leaning away from my microphone.
It becomes easier for you, and at some point you become master of the game, and everything is easy for you. But it takes time to learn the game.
This terrified me. Like, honestly, I was there going like, wait, at first I was like, what's attacking me? And I was like, how do I counter this? And I was like, suddenly realized there was a camouflaged opponent attacking me. It's like, I love that in this game though, is there are so many challenging enemy components, whether you're fighting bandits, whether you're like fighting these sort of enemies. And then I was like looting everything. I became like a loot goblin where I was going into every building and just trying to find as many med kits so that I could stay alive.
And there is also a lot of pieces of content just near the locations. This is not a main quest. It's often not a side quest. It's just some encounters or narrative little stories to bring you an experience of discovering this real location, real zone. And it's not a fake world. It's full of small pieces.
Yeah.
And for me, I find it very interesting to discover, even if I know the game pretty much.
You're going to want to watch this footage later. True SSJ Havoc, thank you for the $2 super chat tip. Watch this footage later on your own. You're watching it through my stream. It actually looks quite good. I was just going to say November 20th. So there's our release date now. I don't know if we knew that before today because they kept delaying it. So here's the thing. That right there shows you why Avowed got bummed, right? Avowed would have had to have been, what, September, October, right? And that's probably why Avowed got moved, is because Stalker 2 got moved to September and then just got moved again to November, and then Indie is December. So basically, I mean, that's a really lopsided year for Xbox, due to delays, because, Hellblade 2 was basically it so far, and now this is November, and then Indie is December. So yeah, Avowed getting moved for your backlog. I don't understand. Wasn't Avowed set for September or October? It's possible that they just couldn't get a hard date from these guys, and that's why they wanted to move Avowed. I don't know. I really don't. But I would watch this later. I thought it looked quite good. What I was going to say is, a really great way to distinguish your shooter is to set a really good tone, and I feel like that had a good tone to it. It felt good. It felt dark, and it's like a good mixture of mysterious and also a good mixture of like, it seemed somewhat challenging at times. So yeah, Avowed was moved because it looked like crap. Yeah, I don't understand why they're like, let your backlog breathe, if now their two titles that are coming in November and December. That whole justification for delaying Avowed looks kind of stupid now. It's like, what? This is November the 20th, and then Indie is December the 9th. Avowed was November? I thought the leaked release date for Avowed was like October the 12th or something. I might be misremembering, because I thought that's what it was. I thought it was October. They like accidentally put the release date in an article, didn't it? Or was it November? It might have been. I can't remember now.
Play video games.
Good job.
Leo has issues with his motor ability. He doesn't have access to a lot of things.
There's so many disabled people that deserve a shot to be like everyone else.
I want to be a part of this.
Yeah, you guys are right. The original leaked release date for Avowed was November the 12th. So it sounds to me like what happened was Stalker 2 got delayed out of September and was going to step right on the toes of Avowed, so they decided to move Avowed, which is really unfortunate because Stalker 2 isn't even a first-party studio. It's a timed exclusivity deal, so a timed exclusive that's now been delayed like 3 and 4 times, and again, those delays are completely justified, but because of that, it bumped Avowed. Like, that's just such a weird situation to be in, to have a non-first-party studio delay its game multiple times, and then you end up with, you know, Avowed getting bumped, basically. That seems like what happened. So it would have been literally Avowed on the 12th, Stalker on the 20th, Indie on the 9th. It'd have been like boom, boom, boom. It'd have been pretty extreme.
Having the joystick levels the playing field for him.
Your character, he can fly. He can do everything you can't do.
He enjoys winning and will definitely let you know when he does.
Oh, I'm going to get muted for that one.
Big news for all gamers everywhere. We've got some new accessories designed to give gamers more ways to play. And here with all the details, please welcome Xbox Principal Designer Chris Kuchowski and Senior Accessibility Product Manager Caitlin Jones. Welcome to Gamescom.
Thank you, Maxie. Yeah, thanks for having us.
How's Cologne treating?
Yeah, Spine replied to one of my tweets, Brooklyn Breed. They're going to do something at Gamescom, so I'm excited to see more from them.
Controller launch is 6 years ago, but you didn't stop there. So what's new in the world of gaming and accessibility?
Yeah, thanks, Maxie. So as you saw, we just announced our Xbox Adaptive Joystick. It's a wired controller that is designed to be a companion for our Xbox Adaptive Controller as well as other Xbox controllers. And that will be available to customers in 2025, early on in 2025. As well as our Xbox Adaptive toppers that you can create with Xbox Design Labs. And these are really great, I think, especially for players who might have some difficulty using the thumbsticks on their controllers. They can choose from different shapes, customize the sizes, the height, and the width, and attach them to their adaptive joystick as well as their Xbox Wireless or Elite Series 2 controller, and really customize the way that they interact and grip with those thumbsticks on those controllers to meet their unique needs. So overall, we're just really excited to continue to expand the ways that players can play the games that they want to play and also how they want to play. But it doesn't just stop with our Xbox accessibility offerings. We also have some really fantastic partners through our Design for Xbox program, including BioWave and 8bit2, who are also announcing some exciting accessibility news today.
And with everything in your line of work, the feedback from the community is crucial. And the gaming and disability community was also instrumental in...
You asked if she's kind of jacked. The girl talking, yeah, she looks like she might lift, like she might lift weights or something. She did seem a little nervous. I think you guys have to understand, it's actually a little nerve-wracking to be in this kind of a scenario. She's got the mic, she's got the monitor in her ear. It can be a bit much for people. It can be high pressure.
They are collaborators and they're the experts in their own experiences and needs. So from very early on with the adaptive joystick, we had our disability community be hands-on with early designs and functional prototypes. And I know Chris will share a little bit more about that on the hardware design side. But even from a software perspective, we really heard from our players that they wanted, one, an affordable joystick for their adaptive controller so they can easily find that and have that as a resource to them. but also something that fit in seamlessly with their existing setups. So we knew it was important to create something that was highly customizable. You can remap all of the buttons on the joystick. You can create different profiles. You can connect it to your Xbox Adaptive Controller for a full adaptive setup, but you can also use it without your Xbox Adaptive Controller. You can plug it directly into your console or PC and use it alone, or employ Xbox Controller Assist to link it with another controller and kind of play that way. So all in all, the disability community's involvement is absolutely critical in everything that we do, and we're so grateful to have them as co-collaborators and designers in these processes.
So many options. So how did the community's feedback inform the final design of the adaptive joystick?
Yeah, like Caitlin mentioned, we're always looking for that feedback, and for this device in particular, we actually visited a hospital in Seattle that uses gaming as therapy for some of their spinal injury patients. So what that means is we went there with a box of prototypes, got feedback on the grip size, the shape, the number of buttons, where the buttons were located. They liked some of the stuff, they didn't like some of the stuff, and that's exactly why we're there. One of the most important things that we took away from that meeting was the importance of having the controller be mountable. Lets you put it in a lot of different positions, hold it.
Thank you, Haseo, for 2 gifted members, man. I appreciate it a lot, dude.
Threaded insert here that's the same one you'd find on a camera tripod or actually on the adaptive controller as well. And so that really allows you to use non-hand body parts with the controller easily. So we took that feedback and then used it to iterate on the design.
Wow. And just curious, how does that process look like of creating? Do you 3D print prototypes? Do you mold? What do you do?
We do both of those things. Usually I like to start making something that goes in your hand by making it by my own hands. So we'll take a block of foam, carve that away. We'll take a 3D print, add clay to it, and then sand it away. And I'm doing this in the design lab, in the workshop in my garage. And we're just really iterating constantly to get the feel right, to get the ergonomics right, the position of the buttons right. We usually start with a very primitive form and then add those details throughout the design process. One of the other things that's really important from my perspective as a designer, and this maybe sounds obvious, it's an Xbox controller. It should look like an Xbox controller. So many of the adaptive products that gamers have to use, they might look like hospital equipment or something you have to use rather than something you'd want to use. Like Xbox makes cool products. We want our gamers to want to use the products, and so using the same form language, the same color, material, and finish really helps it feel like a part of the Xbox family. And that goes a long way in removing some of the stigma that's associated with using adaptive products. And that's a really important thing that I think design and Xbox brings to the table here.
Yeah, it looks very well next to the adaptive controller, traditional Xbox controller. So good job. Good job. One question. So I heard the rumor that the idea of the 3D printable topper files came from an internal hackathon event. Is that true?
That is true. Very similar to the Xbox adaptive controller years ago. The adaptive thumbstick toppers were born from a hackathon project. So hackathon is a week where Microsoft employees get to take a break from their day job and work on a passion project. And this particular team was inspired by really the high cost of adaptive accessories and doing custom setups like that. So knowing that 3D printers are a lot more available for at home or as a service, they combine these two ideas to create a great range of products that offer gamers a lot more options to customize their setup just to exactly what they need.
And so much goes into...
Thank you, Belphegor, for the 5 members. And then Chase, thank you for renewing your Member Plus, dude. You the best.
The development for the 3D printable files for the adaptive thumbstick toppers look like? Who did you work with?
Yeah, very similar to the adaptive joystick and all of our other accessibility offerings. We, again, partner directly with the disability community, specifically a lot of hospitals and gaming accessibility charities that were doing a lot of 3D printing work. So we worked with them directly and kind of just asked, what are the most common shapes and designs that you all are creating or that you find work best for your players, and that's actually what informed the final 6 shapes that we have available today. So very direct, working with them and getting that feedback. Something that we also learned, though, by working with them is that, not everyone needs a full-on adaptive setup. Sometimes just minor modifications to how you interact with your thumbstick can be the difference that allows someone to play longer, more comfortably. It can also be the difference whether you can play all together. So based on that, we did want to create something that was available, discoverable, and easily customizable for customers, because through working with our disability community, again, more and more learnings nonstop, always coming in. We did learn that, not everyone has access to easily connect with these hospitals or these more tech-savvy maker communities or charities that are customizing these designs and printing them. And also not everyone at home knows how to 3D model and customize their own shapes at home. So with the Xbox Design Lab platform, it's as simple as picking your shape, using sliders to adjust the height and the width of those shapes, and you're given a free 3D printable file that you can then take to a printer. If you have access to, you can use a 3D printing service, and it's as simple as customizing from there with no 3D modeling knowledge required.
I love that.
Bro, that just blew my mind. I wasn't even thinking why they would make them that large, but for a foot, or if someone has a stub or just their elbow, that's so cool.
Their designs to life. So can you share a little bit more who you're partnering with?
Yes, and I will say I am just personally so grateful and excited that we do have so many Design for Xbox partners who are just really committed to making gaming for everyone. Some of the specific partners that we've been working with recently on the accessibility front are BioWave. So back in May, they announced their Proteus controller, which is a modular controller that allows you to really build your own unique setup that works best for you. And very exciting today, that controller is now available. In addition to BioWave, 8-Bit Do is both announcing and available today their Light SE wireless controller. So all in all, when it comes to accessibility, a rising tide floats all boats, and we're just excited that our players have more and more options within the Xbox ecosystem to really choose what works best for them.
That's a lot of great news that you have today. So is there any place where we can look up all of the accessibility offerings?
Yes, to find out more about any of this accessible hardware that we've just talked about today, you can see the Xbox Wire blog post. Or if you happen to be here at Gamescom like us, you can visit us in the Here to Help area in the Xbox consumer booth. You can get hands-on with any of the products, do some live demos. And if you're here on Friday, you can see Caitlin in a discussion panel in the community area as well.
Thank you so much to both of you for coming.
Yeah, I don't think that Xbox is going to close hardware hat again. This kind of stuff actually makes me really excited to see if Xbox does create a very sort of unique handheld, or the hybrid or the PC, hybrid console that you can sideload Steam onto. Some of those peripherals look so cool and so handy, even if you don't currently need them. And for you guys some of you are being dismissive and saying this is a waste of time, man, I really hope you never have anything that happens to you in your life where you would need something like that, because your comments today would probably haunt you.
Radical! I smush it down my throat.
Oh, this is a goofy commercial. Yeah, I love stuff like that. I didn't even really want to talk over it. I think it's really cool that they're doing that. I think it's really, it's not just noble. I think it opens up other opportunities that probably helps all gamers. You know what I'm saying? You never know. What if you get in an accident? What if you develop Parkinson's? There's all sorts of things that could happen to you, and those things would be a way for you to stay connected to this world. So, Hasio with a gifted member again. We're going to 293. You the man, Hasio, just continues to bring it. Thank you very, very much. This stuff's cool to see. I used the Wii and Wii Fit board in therapy when I had to relearn to walk after a car accident. Seeing these options for PlayStation and Microsoft are making for people with disabilities is great. Yeah, there's just such a large spectrum of ways that you could lose access to just these wonderful worlds and experiences that we get to have, and that's a sad thing, that kind of a thing affects so much of your life, and to be able to maintain a tether to, you know, beautiful worlds and stuff like this. I mean, I think that's obviously, I think, a very important way to keep somebody from, you know, falling into despair after going through something like that, or just having to feel like they're missing out on things. Is this Savage Planet sequel? This looks really good. Split screen co-op. Oh man, this is a game my son would love. I think my daughter would love it as well. They love these types of games. This is Revenge of the Savage Planet, or whatever it's called. So I think when's this coming out? We're back for number 2, single player, online co-op, cross-play, split screen, no DRM, no microtransactions, blah, 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 just buy it. Yeah, Revenge of the Savage Planet. Do we have a release date yet for that? Maybe a release date? Sometime somewhere in 2025.
What started as a journey to the Savage Planet has turned into revenge. Here with more on what fans can expect from Revenge of the Savage Planet, please welcome producer Noémie Le-Courrier and creative director Alex Hutchinson. Thanks so much for joining us.
We're very happy to be here. Thanks
for having us.
Thank you.
How's your Gamescom going so far?
Very good.
Very good. Busy.
Yes.
It always is. There's so many games to play, so many things to see. But Alex, it's been a journey getting here, and not only to the sequel to fans, but also to evolve the game as a whole. Can you unpack that for us?
Yeah, I think it's been a pretty crazy half a decade for not only us, but for the entire games industry. So we originally began as a studio called Typhoon Studios. We made Journey to the Savage Planet. We were acquired by a large multinational. The pandemic happened.
Yeah.
We updated the game, and on the day we shipped, that same multinational made us all redundant. So we found ourselves sitting around trying to figure out what to do. But luckily, we decided to reform. So we're a new studio, Raccoon Logic, and we've made this new game, Revenge of the Savage Planet.
Yeah, and Noémie, can you kind of talk about the world that we live in with Revenge of the Savage Planet? Have we got the gameplay that we can push up? But
before that,
I think Alex is going to talk about
Yeah, so before that. So obviously,
I feel bad for this guy hosting. He keeps having to clue in the studio. Like, come on, bring up the gameplay. It's the second time he's had to do that. Production's failing.
It's filled with wonderful, wacky, weird creatures. It's 4 planets now instead of 1 planet. So there's lots more to do and lots more to see.
Yes, so we basically can survey, scan everything, and collect and catalog. Here, as you explore the world, you're going to discover rewards, things to collect as well. The rewards are blocked by encounters with alien creatures, as well as puzzles and navigation challenges. So lots of fun here.
Yeah.
It looks so cute. Like even the trailer, but in the trailer beforehand, it's like all the creatures. It's like adorable.
And you know it's a sequel when you're swimming.
Just it happens every single time. You've got to add water in. If you go in, no water.
Exactly.
Second time thing. But Alex, there's obviously a ton of creativity by the team to produce an incredible world, but perhaps players' take on its obstacles can be equally as creative. So in the world, like how are players going to approach the obstacles that they face?
Yeah, so we've taken a really systemic approach to open world design. So it's still a Metroidvania. You're still being blocked by different obstacles. You need to go back to your habitat and upgrade your tools to get through them. But what we wanted to do was have a Metroidvania where there's a single lock, but multiple keys. So you see different types of objects. Say if it's a cracked wall that you need to blow up, you could do it with a grenade. You could find a creature that explodes. Anything that generates an explosion will get you through. And so hopefully, as you see in this video, there's a little bit more systemic chaos than most games of its type.
So there's lots of creative ways to kind of like solve the problem.
Exactly.
So you can have a bit of fun with it, and every time you play it as well, you're going to get those different experiences.
Exactly.
Another way players can make their game their own is through customization. You know what I mean? Can you talk us through customization?
Yes, absolutely. So we've added tons of new outfits in the game. You can mix and match between the different outfits, so whether it's the helmet, the boots, or the gloves. All the outfits are inspired by sci-fi themes, famous like Star Trek. Here we can see some of the suits here, as well as like Power Rangers. So
if you put on the red shirt, you get killed immediately in the game, but you reprint.
What have you got wrong with the red shirt?
It's just a trope. It's just a trope.
You also have a habitat where you will find all the main modules, like you see here, the PC, that you will use throughout the game. But there's also another section that you can fully customize with lots of things. So as you explore the world, you will find Alta crate containing Alta bucks that you can spend in the Alta store on furniture, accessories, and basically a lot of useless junk to really make the space your own. So I hope players have a lot of fun with that.
It's like my own flat all over
There
again.
you go.
Just lots of stuff from Gamescom will kind of like come with me, and by the end of it I'll have plushies for days. But co-op is such a big part of the game as well. Can you kind of talk us through that, Alex?
Yeah, so a lot of the team members have worked on different two-player co-op games, whether it was Army of Two or Far Cry 4. We've had a lot of success with it. We think it's an intimate way to play with your best friend, your partner, your kid. And this time we've made sure you can do it in any way you can imagine. So there's not only network co-op, but there's split-screen co-op you can play on the couch, and even cross-play, so you can play on any system with any other system.
I love playing split-screen games as well. Like, I grew up playing with my brother. Like, every single game that we get our hands on to do split-screen, that was always the way I went and played.
Perfect.
Yeah, also, it's so good you've been able to return to this franchise and bring tons to the fans. This game looks so fun, it feels like fun, and went into creation. Alex, can you tell us what you think the magic is for this game and what makes fans love it so much?
I think it's humor. You know, you see a lot of games that are very grey, very brown, very serious, and we wanted to get back to a world that was fun, that was upbeat, that was optimistic. We like the idea of exploring space because it's fun, and you're going to find something exciting. You're not going to find Matt Damon on the moon, you know, eating poop mushrooms or Mars. So, like, hopefully people see that the humor in this is in the gameplay as well as the script, you know? That the joke we always tell is that, you know, I can write a one-liner that's funny once, but slapping your best friend to their death off a cliff is funny forever.
Yeah, you can just kick them off in as many creative ways as possible.
Exactly.
Like, just trying to get through that cracked wall. But also, really importantly, when a player's going to be able to get their hands on the game.
So it's going to come out sometime next year, 2025. For more info, you can go on the website, Savage Planet Game, and wishlist as well right now.
Please wishlist.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, and honestly, I can't wait to come and have a go with it as well. So Thank you so much for joining us as well. And have you got any final words as well that you want to share with fans?
No, we just please wishlist on whatever platform you like, and we'll show you some more gameplay soon.
No, honestly, Thank you so much. But coming up, we've taken a spin in some new wheels and a turn with a new story in Starfield's first ever expansion, Shattered Space. But first, check out an action-adventure game about hope, robots, and the power of words. This is Dustborne.
Thank you, Chloe, for the 12, I believe that's €12. Have you pre-ordered the consoles? I got the 2 terabyte. Which consoles are you talking about?
Built into their arms. Dustborne isn't about making the big and immediate choices. It's about the little things that add up over time. The words spoken that affect relationships and moods, the decisions that stick with you and play out when you least expect them to, the actions that push your relationships in new directions.
I guess this explains why you're suddenly so eager to chase after the robots.
Yeah, Forza Horizon 5 was shown. It's a free hide-and-go-seek mode. I still think that's really interesting, and maybe it's tied to the fact that they are bringing Forza 5 to PlayStation sometime in the future, so that's why they're doing that. They're doing like some updates and free quality passes on it or something like that. The game's been out for 4 years. To suddenly add a free to play a free mode just seems kind of weird.
Play. Each chapter or issue starting with a new cover displaying what you're about to experience, and each of them ending with a comic splash screen. These pages present key choices made in the previous issue that could have an impact later on. Whether a dialogue line or event plays out because of a choice made by the player, an icon will appear in the top right corner of the screen, allowing you to really get a sense of what could have gone differently. Stop it! Oh, what the hell, Pax?
What now?
Drive. In the comic splash, you'll have access to more data, such as global stats about how many other players received this particular consequence, allowing you to gauge how popular this choice was. Some choices lead to crew mood change, which can have an impact on your relationship with them, but also on their personal endings.
Are you just gonna hover?
We didn't finish our chat.
No, we were finished.
I'm worried about you, and I had more to say.
I'm sure, but I was done.
Every key crew member in the story receives one of 3 endings, or codas, based on choices made and actions taken by the player and PAX. Each coda is illustrated by a comic book style splash screen, along with unique dialogues and events reflecting each character's current status. The player can at any time access the character codex to see which coda is the current favorite.
Oh, Chloe, you're asking if I pre-ordered the new consoles, the Xbox consoles? I wouldn't need to pre-order the new Xbox consoles. I have an Xbox Series X. Yeah, I don't need any more Xbox consoles.
Emoji, along with an animation that tells the player how important this choice was. It'll be up to you to decide how the road trip goes and how your relationships will evolve. Will Noam break away from their on-again, off-again relationship with Pax, or embrace it? Will Theo loosen up with the crew, or favor his boss status? Will Ziggy resolve her sister issues with Pax? Discover how it all unfolds in Dustborne. Available now.
What's the name of your band?
We're the Dustborne.
There is a dream that haunts me. A most dreadful nightmare, truly. It tears at me. The fortress of stone and valor, which I struggled to build, is now slowly crumbling into ruin. The land, caught in a perpetual autumn, yields to decay. A futile sacrifice remains ensnared deep within the horns of the south. A shield, now weakened and cracked by time, fails to protect my people. A profound betrayal has befallen those most loyal, yielding only despair. I am left paralyzed, powerless. Not more than a weakness. My people, my legacy, everything is collapsing. They hailed me as the once and future king. Only now do I understand the horror of that title.
It's one of my favorite massive open world space adventures, and it's just got its first ever expansion coming up. Here with more on Starfield Shattered Space, please welcome lead creative producer Tim Lamb. Hi Tim, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
He's not lying. There's a Logitech G Gaming Cloud handheld on the Xbox Store. Is this a new thing that's getting announced today, or has this been out for a while?
Team is so happy to have this new element that adds to planet exploration in the game. So, we have these dynamic worlds with,
Yeah, it's just a Logitech cloud device. It's just compatible with xCloud Gaming. Yeah, it's not like an Xbox handheld.
Playground to drive around on.
Heck yeah.
We have a lot of, in navigating that, we have vertical boost, forward boost. We have a weapon on there. It's like a lot of different minute to minute.
That's been a thing? Yeah, that's just a cloud device.
Super exciting, and Vasco looked like he was having a good time as well in the back there. Love that. Now, let's talk a wee bit about the story in Shattered Space. It's very dark and mysterious. Could you tell me and everyone watching a little bit more about the story?
Yes, so I think there's a hopeful optimism in the giant sprawling adventure of Starfield. You go to a lot of different locations, you meet a lot of different types of people, the cast of characters there, and Shattered Space, that tone, that mood, we were able to sort of distill it down and focus it into a location in the game around Dazra City. So like we get to meet that new House Varun, the people there. There's a moment of strife that they had. We get to experience that with them now.
Yeah, they sounded a bit intriguing, shall we say, in the footage that we saw last night. So can you tell us a wee bit more about the House of Varun and kind of who will be coming across?
So I don't want to, no spoilers.
Sure.
As usual, Aniko Choco says, I've hit more walls in Wukong than I ever did in Starfield. I mean, Black Myth Wukong is not an open world exploration RPG, is it? Right? It's more of an on-rails action boss rush game, so I don't know why you're making that comparison, you know. And it is fair to push back on what Dave is saying. You're not running into a lot of walls in Starfield. Like, come on. The major issues with Starfield are not the dadgum walls or the barriers.
Very interested to find out what that story kind of leads us on to as well. Very good. Along with that story that we've been chatting about, there are some new game features as well as a huge new planet that we can explore. Could you tell us a bit more about those two?
So we have the city of Dazra. We focused, all of our effort has really been focused on the area around the city. So I think the beauty of it is...
Yeah, I know you were talking to Dave, but you're not defending Starfield by comparing it to Wukong. You're just making yourself look a little silly. They're not games that you would compare.
I know I'm coming back here, so there's like an excitement there. Yeah, so it's I'm so excited about it.
I'm so excited as well. I mean, even in the trailer, we saw kind of a very summery, beachy vibe cruising around on our Rev 8 too. Have you taken it for a spin?
I have, no, I do. And I think Shattered Space is like a fantastic playground for it. Now, you can take the Rev 8 to any planet. You can take it into Varun Kai, Varun's homeworld, and drive it there as well. But like we support, I think that's one of the great things about our games is we always support any type of play style. So it's like you can play with it, you can play without it, you can take it to Varun Kai, you cannot take it there.
Sounds amazing. Okay, well, I'll definitely be taking it for a spin as well when Shattered Space releases too. Was there anything else that you wanted to chat to us about for Starfield Shattered Space coming out? Anything we can look forward to?
You can. I think you can look forward to an interesting story, a handcrafted world, new weapons, new gear, new items that sort of alter the way you might think about Starfield.
Amazing. Well, Tim, I cannot wait to play it as well. And everyone watching at home as well, be sure to check out Starfield Shattered Space, launching September 30th with Xbox Game Pass. Thanks again for chatting with us. Now, next up, we're exploring, scavenging, and hopefully surviving the harsh world of Atomfall. But first, let's build a dungeon.
Hi there, I'm James, the designer of Let's Build a Dungeon, a game development simulator that's coming to PC and Xbox next year. We previously brought our game Let's Build a Zoo to Xbox Game Pass, so it's exciting to be back here sharing news of our next game. Today, we want to share a closer look at our multi-layered management sim, and also reveal some brand new features that we've never talked about before. Let's Build a Dungeon is designed to simulate every aspect of running a games studio, and that starts with designing something your virtual players will love. You get to decide which quests to put in the world, and whether you want to focus on a traditional RPG built around magic and combat, or something more cozy like fishing or running monster farms. And if you want even more control, we have an exclusive new mode to share with you. Creative Mode is our sandbox, but it's a sandbox quite unlike any other. Not only do you have access to literally thousands of assets, buildings, and characters, in Let's Build a Dungeon, you can also tell your own story. We are developing a series of easy-to-use tools that lets you create almost anything, from a production-level dialogue editor that lets you create branching conversations, events, and rewards, to a full AI editor that lets you adjust anything from attack probabilities to spawn rates and weapons. We even have a tool that lets you draw your own pixel art characters, which will then automatically animate them for you. Our goal is to build a suite of tools that gives you as much control as we have when building our games. Games made by the community will be available for download, along with some titles made by developers like us here at Spring Loaded. Adding these tools felt like the natural extension of our game development simulator. Why stop at building the most detailed game dev sim ever created when we can add elements of a game engine to give you a full, authentic experience? Hopefully, this short overview has given you an idea of what to expect from Let's Build a Dungeon when it ships next year.
Windscale, the pride of Britain. Nestled in the picturesque Lake District, the state-of-the-art atom plant has transformed this rugged landscape into the envy of its northern neighbors. Scientific progress waits for no one.
Windscale. Everything changed when that bloody atom plant went up in flames.
Citizens of Wyndham, there has been an increase in bandit activity outside the village walls.
Temporary quarantine, they said? It's been bloody years.
They're hiding something from us. Something terrible. My name's Molly. You got out to trade? I got bits and bobs for sale. Please be careful. It's more dangerous than you can possibly imagine.
Detected.
It's mystery mixed with folk horror weirdness, all set in a not-so-idyllic post-war British countryside, and believe it or not, it's based on a true story. Really? Well, here with more on Atomfall, please welcome Creative Director for Rebellion, Ben Fisher. How you doing, pal?
How you doing?
Welcome to Germany.
Thank you.
First time here, or?
I've been here for Gamescom before.
Yeah. But not with a game quite like this, right?
No, let's talk about that, Ben. Actually, you're right, Henry, because this is a huge departure from Rebellion's most famous series, let's call it, Sniper Elite. Can you tell us about this sudden change of pace here?
Sure. I mean, it's similar and it's different in different aspects of the game. So we always value sandbox exploration and giving the player lots of freedom in their objectives. But at the same time, this is a survival action game with some sort of RPG-ish elements. There's skills, there's crafting. The story of the game unfolds as you explore. It's kind of a mystery game, so tonally quite different to Sniper Elite.
I love the exploration side of it. I mean, from what we just saw in the quick trailer, there's a lot going on. It's not just one sort of trope that you're sticking to. There's a lot to unpack. So maybe as we're checking out some gameplay that you brought along that we can experience, we can jump into some of the influences that have made it into this title. Because, like I said, it's a lot going on here, man. So let's check out some of this gameplay as well. You've got to start off with a postbox.
Yeah.
Where else?
I mean, it's on your T-shirt as well.
Yeah.
It must be quite a core feature of Atomfall, I assume.
It is, actually.
Oh.
As you explore the world of Atomfall, you're uncovering a mystery. You're discovering what's happened in this post-apocalyptic quarantine zone in 1950s north of England. Different characters will ask you to do things for them, and they might help in return. And one of the characters that you can interact with is this mystery phone voice. You don't know who they are, you don't know what they want, and you have to choose which characters you trust and don't trust in your exploration.
Kind of like Bosley, Charlie's Angels vibes coming through the phone.
Yes, exactly.
I like that. That's cool. You know, speaking about the story, and Henry, you mentioned it earlier. True story. Like, what is
Surely
that about?
yes. Well, surely not. Yeah. It's based on real-world disaster that happened. The first major nuclear disaster in the world was in Sellafield, so 1957. We wanted to use that as a jumping-off point for a story. So Jason Kingsley, one of the owners and founders of Rebellion, observed that there are lots of games that are kind of like post-atom storytelling, like post-atomic disaster storytelling, but none set around this first disaster that's happened in the world. So we took that as a starting point and then thought, what's a Rebellion kind of...
A $5 super chat from True SSJ Havoc. Game titles these days feature two-syllable names, and they always include Born or Fall. Seriously, these game titles are trying to look the same. Yeah, I wonder if we're just seeing the result of like market research for whatever reason it landed here. This game, its world is, I think, going to suffer from a lot of what we talked about recently with like when you just go for photorealism. It can be tough. Like, I think your art style is going to need to be more distinct if you want to stand out. So I want to see maybe a little bit more to see if it doesn't just sort of look like a Stalker, sort of like an Atomic Heart. You know, it's sort of a, not necessarily a Fallout, but like, yeah, I just want to see more. I think this is going to be a real thing that you're going to see studios start to focus on more, is that art style has a more enduring and more captivating feel to it than just, hey, our game looks kind of like a real world with mountains and grass.
Combat's pretty crunchy, right? I mean, this is, like you say, a bit of a departure from Sniper Elite, which is typically long range, but in here we're getting right up, even the fact that it's first-person camera as well. Like, these are conscious decisions you've made, so why did it feel right for Atomfall to treat it that way?
So in the case of Sniper Elite, you are an elite-trained sniper. You know, Carl Fairbairn's like a human sniper rifle, right? He knows exactly how to fire a shot, miles to take out that one guy. This is a different character in a different situation. We wanted it to be a mystery, so there are no signifiers of age, race or gender for the player character. They're wearing gloves, so you don't know who they are. Their backstory is part of the mystery that you may or may not uncover as you explore. We wanted you to feel more like it's not so much a war zone as a pub crawl. You're desperately attempting to survive. There's not much ammo around. The guns are all rusty because everyone's been trapped in this quarantine zone for 5 years. You're mixing melee and ranged combat. You can throw your melee weapons. You can kick people to make them stagger back. We wanted you to be constantly, desperately mixing options and scavenging desperately for resources. So there's a real kind of tension as you play, which is very, very tonally different to Carl, who's calm and controlled and reads an entire situation before he decides what to do.
I think we can definitely get on board with the pub crawl element.
My entire playthrough is like, it's a scene from Kingsman, basically, and it's gonna feel good. It's gonna feel great.
Talking about Kyle and, you know, that he's an iconic character, what about the characters in Atomfall? Our player character isn't maybe so much of the focus, but are there other people that we're going to meet that...
Welcome back, Slapman, 24 months. Guys, make sure if you're on the standard tier of membership, if you want that to be included in the count every month when you renew, bump up to Member Plus and above. That does differentiate you from Gifted. It also helps us with the milestones. The weekly goal is great, but the milestone is huge. We are trying to get to 600 Member Plus and above, and we are at 515. So everybody that upgrades to a Member Plus or a VIP helps with that. Thank you, Slapman.
Whether you believe the same things as they do. So it's all murky shades of grey. There's no good guys and bad guys, and it's all completely open to the player. So you could theoretically kill every character in the game, and there's still a way to finish the game. You could theoretically play through and kill no one, and there's other routes available to you. So we really pushed hard into giving the player lots of options and lots of rewards for observing and choosing what to do. So there's lots of tropish characters, lots of kind of characters that fit this world of being north of England. and also being 1950s, 1960s culturally.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, as a fellow Scot, Ben, really quick, are there any maybe Scottish people in there that we can look forward to meeting? I'm sorry.
No spoilers, but what we have done is we've taken like 1950s sci-fi, 1950s, or like old-fashioned folk horror type trope characters and Cold War scientist trope characters, and you'll meet those kinds of people as you explore through the game, and then still decide whether you trust them or not.
Okay.
So we got pub rules, we got crazy characters. They're all living in this open world that we're experiencing. Can you tell us more about that? How did you construct it? How big is it as well?
Sure. Okay. Well, what Rebellion excels at is these deeply packed kind of sandbox maps. So the way that we've structured Atomfall is a series of like 5 or 6, depending on how you count, sandbox maps like the one you can see just now. And you can travel freely between them at any time. They're all thematically very, very different. And then there's loads of interiors and like large-scale, story-driven locations that you might uncover, as well as bunkers that are full of loot that you might find. What we wanted to do is really lean into that densely packed kind of puzzle box. So I've spent all day watching people play the game, and no 2 playthroughs have been the same. People can approach it all very, very differently, get different experiences. As you explore the game, you'll find leads as well. So we don't have a kind of quest system. We've got leads that you piece together clues that help you understand what's happening. So we built this puzzle box, this sandbox of interconnected options for the player, and then we just let them go for it. They might find a difficult, dangerous place and die, but we signpost very clearly that it's a dangerous place, and then it's kind of up to them what happens.
That's right. I love a puzzle. I'm buzzing.
Yeah.
We're great at solving them together, to be fair.
Well, we could work on it. I mean, you just said that there'll be leads that players can follow. Tell us a bit about how they're equipped to do so, because we just saw like literally pulling out a metal detector and taking part in that great British tradition of finding some old coins or whatever it could be. But what are the other ways we can do that?
Yeah, so you might find a lead that someone's hidden in a box under the ground somewhere. They've a bit of storytelling around it to draw the player in and make them try to understand how it fits to the game world. But there's also characters that you might find in the world. There's friendly characters that you can barter with, and they might sell you or rather trade something with you which has a lead in it. Or if you do some trade with them, they might get friendly to you and give you a lead. You can also have conversations with characters, and if you choose the right choices, you might get some more information from them. The way that we've approached those is the same kind of high stakes player freedom. So you can get the conversation wrong, right? You're not working your way down a list of conversation topics until they grey out and then moving on to the next one. It works more like a real conversation. So if you judge their personality wrong and say the wrong thing, they might shut down and stop talking to you. And you've pruned a chain of leads that you might otherwise have found something interesting in the game world. So you're always having these influences and layers that you may even not notice are there.
That sounds so smart. I can't wait to dive into that as well. That's so cool. I understand there's some crafting elements in that as well, and also, metal detectors, scavenging. Can you tell us what that kind of looks like in Atomfall?
Sure. So the player's desperately trying to survive and finding materials to help them survive. Yeah. So even if they find a gun, there might be 3 bullets for the gun. So they can find materials that let them craft things to help them heal or help them in combat, so Molotov cocktails and makeshift grenades and things like that. So you find yourself trapped into a corner and you can make these resources that help you survive. Like I say, we're trying to make sure that we find this sweet spot where you feel kind of desperate as you're trying to survive. As we want you to use everything that you find. We've made sure your backpack capacity is quite limited as well, so you're really pushed to make these difficult choices and decide even whether you want to engage in a fight or not, whether you want to avoid it entirely, you want to choose the right moment and try and take out 5 guys with a Molotov. And it's all really, really high stakes, but it makes it very rewarding when you manage to pull something off.
It looks like our player right now is making a horrible decision by going into a restricted area. Already seen a ribcage. I mean,
yeah. I mean, so
this is going to go great.
Like I mentioned earlier, if you're heading into somewhere difficult or dangerous or scary, we make sure and signpost it. So if you go into a place like that and then you die, you go, "Oh, I should have guessed. Yeah, there was a skeleton outside."
Yeah, that one's on me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To be fair, I'm very good at ignoring red flags, so we'll see about that.
And in terms of
according to Google, Atomfall is a multi-platform release as well as an old-gen release.
What about skills, anything like that in the game?
Sure. So there's a range of skills that help reinforce the player's ability to survive in this dangerous world. So there's a chain of skills that are for melee combat, ranged combat. There's sort of durability skills that mean you can take more damage and survive in dangerous areas. And then also abilities that help your overall survival, like disarming traps and things like that. So really we wanted to keep it grounded so that there's always that sense of threat and pressure, but we wanted to give you some advantages. So you might learn a skill that lets you throw a melee weapon, and if it's bladed, it'll stick in targets and things like that, just to help give you that edge over the course of the game. As you can see in this location here, they're in a kind of dark and then scary interior. So we've got the player's progression, but then there's also a kind of game world progression where they're uncovering a mystery. So quite literally, they have to push deep into the world and into the underground of the world to find these dark and scary places. And we try and keep it tense the entire way through the game.
Yeah. I was going to say, because there is the sci-fi element, but there's a bit of horror vibes I'm getting too. Like, so with us competing with people maybe on a top level, and now we've got into this bunker, there must be some monsters of some kind.
Yeah, we just saw a little glimpse of something scary and monstrous. And as you push into the mystery, you will find more elements influenced by what happened. But yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said earlier, the storytelling style of the 50s and 60s didn't really have a division between folk horror and sci-fi. There was like a blend for a certain kind of story that was addressing the Cold War, but in a way that wasn't too political, I guess. So, you know, folk horror stories are about the division between...
Yo, Slapman upgraded the member plus. That counts in the count, dude. Thank you.
Cold War stories are about fear of the outsiders and others and that sort of thing. And there's thematic resonances between all of these different storytelling styles, which make it really easy for us to push into these otherworldly horror elements as you push into the mystery.
Nice. That's so sick.
We've got quite an atmospheric bunker, like you said, as well. Have you got a favourite part of the maps that you can share us with? Again, nothing. I'm really pushing it here, but any favourite place to maybe have a picnic or anything like that?
Well, actually, there is a favourite secret place which I can tell you about a little bit. So, as the player is starting the game, they're given one lead. A person tells them that the heart of this mystery is a location called the Interchange. So to begin with, you're trying to find this place, and as you make your way in, it's all unpowered, it's been shut down, it's been quarantined, and you push into it and open it up more and more, and it's like an unfurling flower as you find all of these leads that are the heart of the mystery. And the more you find, the more leads there are to find. So you end up in this kind of like snowball effect.
He's just picked up a Cornish pasty.
Oh yeah,
oh, stunning.
Yeah. Well, this is pre-Greg's era, I suppose. So we'll take what we can get for now.
That's brilliant.
Oh, is that how you say it? Pasty? They always have that word in the Redwall books that I read to the kids. I never know how to say it. I'm like, pasty? Like, that sounds weird.
And then, like, the overworld is so lush and vibrant. And listen, I've been to the north of England. It's not always this green, so... Sometimes, yeah, exactly. I mean, I live in London, and it's just grey all the time, so any green I can get is good. But
it's the Lake District on a good day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, will we see many other types of biomes or environments in the game as well?
Yeah, so one example would be there's a woodland nearby, but it has more of a kind of spooky folk horror-ish tone. As you get into it, it feels more mysterious and occult, and there's a group of...
I struggle. Your beard's patchy? What? Yeah, I struggle with the Redwall books because he goes from different accents to different, like, he'll use, like, terms that are more British. He'll use terms that, like, Scots will use. Like, it gets a little confusing, you know? And, like, some of the rabbits talk like, they'll be like, ah, ya bunny. And it's like, what the frick's going on? And then some don't talk like that. So it's hard when you're reading it out loud to the kids to try to channel all the different accents.
Because Henry and I and Charlie have actually been scanned into the game, which we're very excited to maybe come across ourselves. Oh, there we are. Yeah. There's Henry getting his wee...
Yeah, I have to say it's maybe not the most flattering, methods of doing it, but... What are you actually doing to me there? Because I just signed something and agreed to show up dressed as a big baby, and apparently that's for something. But
yeah, no, this is
you guys do?
Massive scan.
I thought so. Yeah, thanks. What is it that you guys have to do to get someone scanned into your games? Because the realism is quite impressive.
Sure. So we go through a highly detailed scanning process of every angle of your face and different configurations. So we get wrinkle maps and things like that.
Lono's accent offends me worse than the Diablo hate. I can't do Scottish, Irish. I can do like a very posh, slightly passable British. Anytime I try to do Scottish or Irish, I just end up sounding British.
We might grub your face up a bit because, they've been surviving for 5 years.
Because, like, whenever they do the Scottish and he spells it phonetically, it'd be like, I deny want to get... It's like, oh, forget it.
Definitely looking out for where I am. If I'm on an enemy, that's okay.
Like, you can.
If I had a cricket bat to the face. So, this is great. And you're going to be getting scanned in pretty soon.
Yeah. I can't wait. As long as you put some fake eyelashes on me as well, then make that.
I'll make a note.
Yeah. Are you in the game as well? Have you been scanned?
No, I haven't been scanned yet.
Okay.
No. You have to shave a beard off if you want to get
you had to do that.
That was fun.
Yeah.
It was just the beard that we had to shave. Right.
Yeah, the rest was optional.
Oh. Whoops. Honestly, I cannot wait to play this game. It looks bonkers. It looks British as heck. And honestly, we're going to play it so much when it launches next year. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for stopping by. Enjoy the rest of your Gamescom. And
excellent. Thank you very much.
And we are going to be taking a little look at some other games, but your game's coming out in 2025 on Xbox Game Pass, which is great. But next up, we're going to be throwing it back with some Age of Mythology Retold. But before we do that,
The sound is terrible all of a sudden because I don't think they can use the lapels on the face. They had him holding a mic, and I think it was picking up way too much ambient sound. And MASH comes in with the 5-bomb. Oh, you guys are going to want sound for this one.
Hello everyone, I'm Marco Rizzo, Product Manager of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Thank you for joining us today in this exciting showcase. Today we will show you some new and exciting gameplay footage featuring characters that we have revealed during the opening night live. But before that, let me give you a reminder on the 2 single-player game modes that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero has to offer: Episode Battles and Custom Battles. First up is Episode Battle. In this single-player mode, you can take the point of view of 8 different characters, including Goku and Vegeta, and enjoy famous battles from the anime. For each stage, you'll be playing through an introduction before heading into some of the most iconic fights in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super. The number of stages and battles vary by character.
We're here to take you down, simple as that.
Next up is Custom Battle. In this mode, players fight in battles that each have their own original scenes. Some battles will also have different victory condition, and some might even have event cutscenes pop up midway, so you'll be able to enjoy battles different from the norm. Using Edit mode, you'll be able to freely set the characters to be played, as well as the pre-battle and post-battle cutscenes, in order to make your own original battle. What you've made will be able to be uploaded and viewed online for the whole world to play, so hope you enjoy sharing the battles and situations that you have created. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. Coming straight from the Majin Buu saga, Ultimate Gohan is our latest addition to the roster. After his rigorous training, he is ready to show his power in an all-out fight against Kefla in her Super Saiyan 2 form. Enjoy!
Is this a game for Jedis? I can't even tell what's going on. It's so fast. How could you even play this? It looks insane. I mean, that's got to be so exciting for Dragon Ball fans, right? Like, that looked so good. I don't think I'd ever be able to play that. It looks insane.
Enhancing a classic with modern graphics and gameplay mechanics. And if that classic feature can feature, new expansions and a remastering of the multiplayer experience, well, in my eyes, it's even better. So here from World's Edge even, to give us the latest on Age of Mythology Retold, please welcome Senior Director of Production, Ernest Yen, and Senior Game Designer, Kristen Perillo. Welcome and prostagma to you. Thank you so much. Now, Age of Mythology, there's loads going on here at Gamescom.
Yes.
In general, there's loads going on anyway. But you also had a pretty epic opening night live, so I want to hear all about that. I want to hear all about the booth. I want to hear everything.
Great. So first, thank you, Jeff Keighley, for showing the awesome premiere trailer that we just showing in opening night live last night. And you showed the story of Athena talking to the young hero, and in this case, one of them is of course the key characters, Acanthos, and about this really, really epic story that a lot of our fans remember really fondly. So over multiple campaigns, over 50 missions, it is epic, amazing. Wow. And of course, the trailer also show off the new graphics we have in the game, looking really pretty. It is just really cool to see. So.
Yeah, and the trailer's been fantastic because it really showcases how diverse each civilization is within myth.
Yeah.
We have our Greeks, we have Egyptians, Norse, and Atlantean. They all have their own gods, their lore, the way that they play. There's just so much diversity within the gameplay. It's been really exciting.
And talking about the booth, yes, we are here, so people can actually come.
You're just over the back, over there. You're tucked away over that
right
way.
there.
If anyone's planning on coming tomorrow, it's just over there.
And if you come, you can get these awesome lightning bolts, and also take pictures. So that's really, really cool. And by the way, this is not the only thing that we have here. So on top of Age of Mythology Retold, we also recently announced Age of Empires Mobile.
Woohoo!
And then, if you come by the booth, you can get this awesome pop socket. It's amazing. So highly recommend.
I'm going to be first in the queue to get one of those as soon as possible.
It's so cool. And the game is actually, we just announced that it's going to be available globally on October 17th. So it's a very different, very new experience that we're expanding Age of Empires to the mobile audience. So it's a game built with the awesome Team Studio Group, and they have crafted something that's amazing for the mobile gamers.
Oh, how exciting. I can't wait to see it. Amazing. Right, so I know you have more news to come as we're talking here today, but the first thing I want to talk about is that this is more of it's more than a remastering, but it's different to a sequel, right? So I don't know, what in the name of gods does Retold actually mean?
Right. So for a few years now, our fans know we have been building these things called definitive editions. And there's one key goal that we have, which is we want to build the title that's in your head, right? Not because when you actually think about the games that you grew up with and play, you remember fondly and say, it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So, but when you actually try to play the original for real and look at it and say that's not what I remember at all. So we want to build the one that's actually in your head and how it looks like, how it feels like. So that's the goal. So And yeah, really want to thank the fans for supporting us for so long for all the different editions. But for Retold, Mythology Retold, we are going beyond what we have done in different editions. So on top of all the graphics and all the gameplay from the original, we actually tweaked it and added a bunch of like new things to it as well. And it is just amazing. So
yeah, I mean, from the design side, from the get-go, we really asked ourselves.
Yeah, guys, Donnie had a great idea a little while ago. He said that end of the week milestone, you have to play Disco Elysium reading every single line in your Scottish accent. I can't do a Scottish accent. I barely can read the phonetics and sound like I just end up sounding like an idiot.
Our population cap is much higher now, so not only can you build more monsters, you can just build more of everything.
You add me at more monsters, I'll stop you there. It feels like a love letter, really. Everything you've learned so far, you're bringing back. And I love the idea of taking out what you see in your head and then making that version of the game. I think it's absolutely wonderful. So you mentioned a little bit about god powers, actually. I heard we have our very own gods wandering around at Gamescom, by the way, while we're on the subject.
Yes, we have invited them to the booth. So you also can actually see them. We have Athena and Zeus here in our booth. So come by, see them. Like, you can see them on screen like that.
Zeus is loose.
Goodness me, where did you find that?
They are amazing. That is so
nice.
cool.
Oh my goodness me.
Please come by. It takes a lot of work for us to invite them to the booth. So
a lot of convincing.
A lot of convincing.
Beautiful. Awesome. Okay, back to the game now. Sorry, tangent. So seeing the gameplay that we just saw just then, it's really clear that the team has been hard at work on the visuals. I think you both mentioned it already. So what can we expect? What exactly does that mean?
So for graphics, we actually have redone every single graphics that you actually see in the game. So like every single 3D asset, every single animations, like effects, all of them are completely rebuilt. So just for this game. And it's amazing. The team did really, really good work. But we want to make sure that you also keep the flavor of the original.
Of course,
because again, we want to build a game that people remember.
Yeah.
So it's really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a labor of love. I will say that much. So we've gone asset by asset. And we've just made overall improvements. We wanted everything to look and feel mythical. And so we have, our destruction effects. We support ray tracing. But like Ernest had said earlier, sometimes when we've gone back and look at these assets in 2024, we realized that we had an image in our head that was very different than blurry pixels, wrapped around a sphere. And so we had a lot of philosophical discussions because, the dev team were all major fans of the original. So, I mean, Arcantus was a big one where we were like, would he have a dimple? Or would his chin be more square? Would he have?
I want to be in those meetings, please.
They've been really fun. It's part Rorschach test, looking at some of the assets, and then it's like labor of love, and it all comes together to make that game that we remember loving and playing.
Amazing. So if I've got everything right here, so Age of Mythology Retold as complete visual overhaul, updated god powers, and larger-than-life myth units. Now, small enough to keep me interested, but is there anything else that you have to share?
Yes, definitely want to say that. Remind people, one of the coolest thing that we have done for here is that we are releasing on PC and Xbox with crossplay, like at the same time. We have never done that with any Age games, so it is the first time we're releasing on multiple platforms at the same time. So really, really happy to be able to bring the game to not only to the keyboard and mouse player, but to controllerless players as well. Because the game people really remember, beloved it. We want everybody to be able to play together.
And you've had some fantastic versions on the console recently, so those players want to absolutely join you. Now, you also have some other really exciting things to tell us today. I know I'm really gripped for this, but what can you tell us about the Freya Gods pack?
Oh, I am so excited to be able to talk about this.
Here we go.
So the Freya God pack really is kind of like a new DLC type for us. And what we really wanted to do was offer the players a new strategy type for the Norse, which is, a beloved civilization from the legacy game that can sometimes be very offensive in the way that it plays. And so with our Freya God pack, we wanted to offer a defensive skew to it. So with the Freya God pack, players will be getting 4 new god types featuring Freyr, who is the god of fertility and kingship, and then 3 minor gods, as well as all the things that they come with, like their myth units and their god powers.
Wow. Oh my goodness me. That's insane, by the way. 4 new gods. Amazing. Are you able to talk us through each one? Can we do that?
Yes.
Oh, amazing. Excellent.
So we have Uller, who is the god of archery, and his myth unit is a Draugr, which you may see in the film here. The Draugr is an awesome myth unit. He's an undead archer, and his arrows can pierce multiple targets, whatever is in his line of sight. We have Aegir, who is the god of storms, and his god god power, he has a horrifying hailstorm that will slow everybody down, and it's very frosty. And he is one of the best myth units, which is a rock giant, and if you upgrade him, he can eat buildings, and he will.
God, I love this game.
And our mythic age god is Vidar, who is the god of vengeance, very appropriate for the mythic age. And so his god power, he calls upon Fenrir, which is a mythological wolf. And Fenrir is interesting. He has a path of destruction. He'll light forests on fire, and the wolf comes up in a very scary, ghostly manner. And then his myth unit is actually my personal favorite. Another famous character from mythology, Fafnir, who is a very greedy dragon. Everywhere he goes, he leaves like a trail of poison.
Love it.
And if you slay Fafnir on the battlefield, he actually melts into a pile of gold coins. So it's been very fun to make.
I really
and very
love
fun to
how
play.
much you've fleshed out each of those. Like, yeah, that one's going to eat buildings, isn't he? Love it. So good. Wonderful.
It's amazing. Just want to do a quick reminder that Freya is going to be part of the premium edition of the game. So if you want Freya and all the people, the major and minor gods, so definitely get the premium edition. And by the way, if you get the premium edition of the game, you also will be able to access the game earlier. So like the game is coming out September 4th, but like if you have the premium edition, you can start playing on August 28th, 7 days early.
Good deal to me. Love it.
Yes.
Awesome. So as well as choosing your god and battling across this frozen north, what other new content can we expect from the Freya Gods pack?
Yes, so with the Freya God pack, there's also a new playable level called Reagan Leaf Rally, and I won't spoil it. It's very fun. You'll get the chance to play all of the fun new myth units and god powers and techs I just mentioned. And really the best part of this level is that it does feature one of our villains from the Legacy campaign, Gargarensis, who is just a peach. And it's a great experience.
I'm stuck on Peach there. I can't wait to unpack this expansion, but I need to ask you both, Ernest, Kirsten, what dates? I know we spoke them a little bit, but let's go over it one more time so everyone's got them written on the calendar at home.
Yep, September 4th is when the game is coming out. So, but I do want to be clear that the way that we like to build our game, September 4th is really just the beginning. So we will continue to support the game, we'll continue to do updates, balance, listen to consumer feedback, and honestly, our players are amazing. They give us really good feedback, and then we can continue to improve the game.
Yeah, and part of that is, we have 2 new Pantheons coming with playable civilizations, and then we also have a new game mode, Arena of the Gods, which we're excited to talk about soon.
Ooh, how exciting. Well, thank you both so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to make sure I get the pop socket. I'm going to make sure I get whatever these things you're wearing. I'm going to hunt you down. I'm going to get them. So thanks so much for stopping by. There are loads more Age of Mythology stuff going on for all types of gamers. But first things first, as Erson said, if you haven't already, make sure you pre-order Age of Mythology Retold Premium Edition to get the Freya Gods pack, 7 days early access, and so much more. You can play early from August 28th, and that is only 1 week from today. And that, my friends, is a wrap on day one from the Xbox Gamescom booth here in Germany. Join us tomorrow for Star Wars Outlaws, the latest chapter from Fallout 76 Milepost Zero, and then we'll dive into the most ambitious story arc that World of Warcraft has ever seen. And there's probably going to be so much more too. So until tomorrow, have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Well, we still have more things to come today. We have the Future Game Show at 4, and we'll probably go to that at 3:30. So we can probably debrief now, just kind of hang out for a little bit, and then I guess we'll just go to, we go to members and just kind of hang out and vibe and just kind of talk about what we think of everything that's going on. I mean, there's obviously a lot of conversation now on Twitter centering around Phil Spencer's comments about Indiana Jones coming to PlayStation 5. To a certain degree, I'm genuinely surprised that they even bothered to talk about it. You know what I mean? Of what you're saying? Yeah. She does a really good job. I like her. I think, people were, saying her hair is too yellow or whatever. I don't care about that. I think she's charming. She does really good interviews. She has, she's got, a good personality for that space. I think she does a great job. Everybody's sort of reacting to this, and I'm having a little bit of a back and forth with Kirk on Twitter because he's basically arguing Xbox willingly misled people with the podcast, and I'm I'm taking a very different approach. To me, I think people were willing to be deceived, or they were willfully ignorant. I think anybody that listened to the question, anybody that listened to the podcast when they said, we have 4 games, just 4 games, no promise beyond that, and when asked, of those 4 games, are any of them Indiana Jones and Starfield? And he says no. In that same podcast, they said that they would learn and that they would then potentially do more. And on the same day, there's an article with The Verge that says nothing is off the table. It signaled a beginning. It wasn't anybody that watched that podcast and came away thinking like, oh yeah, it's just these 4, nothing else is going. I'm sorry, you were being willfully ignorant. You were choosing to see it in a way that like it was a signal that things were changing. It was a signal that more would come in the future. I don't know about her hair. There was an overexcitement that comes off as super fake. I know it's obvious showmanship, but also want to semi-believe it. I don't know. Like, I thought she did fine. Yeah, her energy, she and her energy is attractive. Oh yeah, I think she's very pretty. I think that also, helps whenever you're doing hosting. Like, I think somebody being attractive kind of helps. It's like disarming. Kirk won't engage with me on Twitter, even though I posted a clip from the same exact podcast where Phil leaves the door open for more games coming. Let me take a look there, Sven, and see. Eugene replied and said, the spin is why people were misled, not the original comment. Even if I grant that it was kind of crappy to not say indie was coming later, knowing it was in production, Phil's comments were truthful. The follow-up article was truthful. Creator spin is why the average person... All right, yeah, here's the... Let me take a look at this. Sven says, are we completely ignoring the part where Phil said that they would continue to explore options for doing it more in the future? Phil literally says it in the same breath as the 4 initial games. He said they would learn. The door was never shut. That's exactly what I was just saying, Sven. It's like you can't say that they intentionally misled people when the entire point of the podcast was to say, we're starting with these 4 games and we're going to learn. And it's like, that to me marks the beginning of something. That doesn't mark something that was just like, oh yeah, it's just this and nothing else is ever going. Anybody that interpreted his comments that way, I think is their own fault. Yeah, it was clear, Paul. It was the first 4 games. It was. And Kirk doesn't agree with Eugene. He says, I don't agree with that, but that at least makes your position make more sense to me. Yeah, I mean, the willful spin, the willful ignorance, the obfuscation, I mean, that's part of why I don't really have a whole lot of sympathy for anybody who watched that podcast and walked away and thought, it'll never be Starfield, it'll never be Indiana Jones, nothing else is going. And it's just like, I don't know. It's like you went there wanting to hear something, and you took everything Phil said and viewed it through that light. And Kirk, to be fair to Kirk, he's like, I'm taking up for the average consumer who watched that podcast and thought, what are you doing? Are you going to start taking titles elsewhere? Like, should I have this Xbox console? And here's the thing. I don't think the average consumer watched that podcast. The people that watch the podcast are the most sort of entrenched. They're watching videos. They're on Twitter. They're on Reddit. I mean, for goodness sakes, if you're watching a podcast on YouTube about the future of Xbox, you are not the average consumer. You're not John Q. Public getting blindsided by the fact that this is happening. I do feel bad for the average consumer that has no idea that this is going on. But like, yeah, the person who is adept and literate enough to know that there was a podcast about the future of Xbox on YouTube, they should not at all have been blindsided by this. They shouldn't. They chose to be. Phil needs to build Xbox and hardware isn't doing it, so he's trying stuff. No one really cares except the 1,000 haters. PlayStation's Portal's the best-selling accessory this year. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Nobody's surprised. The only people that are surprised by that are the same dum-dums that are surprised by the fact that Indiana Jones is going to PlayStation. Oh, the PlayStation Portal's actually in demand, but a podcaster told me it was DOA. Like, people always bring up the average gamer or Joe Public. Like, anyone watching knows these are PR guys selecting what information is known and when. Eugene says, between the day and date convo yesterday and this today, I'm totally baffled how someone with his education is taking these stances. I had PlayStation's friends surprised at the first 4 games. I told them we've been talking about the shift for over a year. Right, Kevin. They were surprised because they're not you. You're on YouTube, you're on Twitter, you're plugged in, so you're not surprised. Your friends were surprised because why? They got the information from you. They're different. They're not on here. I'm telling you, if you are consuming YouTube videos of podcasts of Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond and Matt Booty talking about the future of Xbox, you are not John Q. Public. You are plugged in. You are informed. You know what the frick's going on. And those people put their dadgum heads in the sand and said, nope, plug their ears. They reinterpreted the CFO's remarks to only be about ABK. They used the Windows Central interview with Phil Spencer where he said, we have no plans to bring Game Pass to PlayStation and Nintendo. They used that. They oh yeah, see, nothing's happening. Nothing's moving. It's just been a consistent and steady demonstration of denial instead of just admitting what's going on. Blame people like, oh no, it's Alex and the Iron Lords. I don't know if, oh no, it's Alex was saying that this wouldn't happen. Like, I obviously have my own thoughts about him, but I don't think he's one of the people that went out here and said that it'll just be these 4 games. I don't know. I don't watch his content. I don't know what he said, but my memory is that he's one of the people that believes everything's going to PC anyway. So, like, I don't think that he would have thought, oh, wow, surprise, surprise, Xbox is putting content in more places. A 10 spot from Cruise Masterwork says, is the Xbox fanboy mentality. They're always willing to champion any crap Xbox says. They're always explaining what they really meant. Same since the last days of the 360. PlayStation leads. Thank you for the 10 spot cruise. He blew up on you this morning. I don't care. I've not watched a single piece of his content since I blocked him. I don't care what he says about me. Hold on, day and day was not a lie, but a non-answer is a lie. Right, Zubair. It's bewildering. It's bewildering. It's like the day and date thing wasn't a lie, but now this isn't. It's like, or this is. I don't know. Kirk responded to somebody said, I understand now. You're viewing this through the lens of those creators being more culpable than Xbox. I wasn't engaging with that. I was simply speaking to the fact that Xbox is culpable. I'm not arguing that others are not. Those aren't mutually exclusive. Yeah, I'm just going to keep coming back to the fact that anybody that watched the podcast, had enough information and was plugged in enough to not be surprised by any of this or fooled by this. He blocked you? No, I blocked him. I don't have time for fake friends. I've been in this industry for 10 years, and I'm interested in having conversations, friendships, and alliances with adults. Phil's playing PsyOps by saying the industry is changing to deflect away and cover up. Right, that's what I said. I was like, that was a dog whistle. He basically dog whistled and gave all of the Xbox podcasters their talking points. Right? It's like, yep, it's an industry thing. It's an industry thing. So that's how everybody's going to spin it. They're going to spin it. They're going to say, yep, everybody's doing it. They're going to point to, PlayStation games porting to PC, and they're going to claim, yep, everybody's doing what Xbox is doing, which is certainly not true. PS5 players are likely getting Indiana Jones before some Game Pass users. Of course, because with the new tiered system, if you're not on Game Pass Ultimate, the Game Pass Standard tier won't get Indiana Jones for probably a year. Exactly, for sure. They also said, so 4 games, no promise beyond that. The door was open for more. Right, exactly. Like, to me, I like I've said, it's very, very simple. It's very, very simple. That podcast made it very clear that it was the beginning of something. And anybody that watched it and is like, oh, I can't believe Indiana Jones is going to PlayStation. It's like, you didn't watch the same podcast that I watched then. You didn't. You did not watch the same podcast. It was very clear this was the beginning. And these first 4 games, it's not Starfield and Indiana Jones. You know? It's like, I don't know what to tell you. There were plenty of articles, there were plenty of videos, there was plenty of commentary starting at the end of 2023. Phil Spencer did an interview with Famitsu. We covered the CFO Wells Fargo thing. Satya Nadella kicked off 2024 basically saying, this is what we're doing. It's what we've always wanted to do, is put games on all platforms. And every single one of those times those media beats happened, the Xbox loyal tried to obfuscate, spin it, and make it seem like it was something else. Anybody who was paying attention to this conversation, which means they would have then watched that Xbox podcast, you have absolutely no excuse. You have no excuse for being like, I feel lied to. Yeah. That's on you. That's on you. You must have missed the fallout. There was no fallout. I saw a tweet, saw his true character, and blocked him. It's as simple as that. Nothing happened beyond that. I mean, on my end, nothing happened beyond that. That was all I did. Whatever he has said and done since then, that's his decision. That's his choice as a person and a content creator. I don't know what's being said. All I know is virtually every single time people have put me into their content or their tweets, they misrepresent what I say. And, you know, I don't know. I don't know why you would constantly wail on channels that are smaller than you. I feel like you'd have bigger things to do. But again, if that's what people want to do with their content, that's their choice. Leading up to the podcast, they literally said every screen is an Xbox. I mean, they were signaling at every turn, nothing is sacred, nothing's safe. Everything can jump, everything can move. A $5 super chat from David Farias, who honestly believes third place dictates the business. Why would PlayStation and Nintendo follow? Well, and it's so clear that PlayStation and Nintendo aren't following. They're not following. They're quite literally doing their own individual strategy. Now, it is true to say that PlayStation has said, we are going to start treating our content differently. I think it's fair to say that. Porting their games to PlayStation is something that they're doing. I'm sorry, porting the games to PC is something that they're doing. But their strategy, their intention, and their approach is 100% different. It's 100% different. Like, it is quite literally them saying that we are trying to coax people to our hardware. Right? Future Games Show waiting room. Let me change. I got to set up a member stream. We're going to do a future game show waiting room. Okay, there. It was taking a second to save. All right, I'm going to provide you guys with the link. We need to we need to go to members. I don't want to hang out and have this stream be 3 hours long or whatever. If you guys don't have a membership, now's a great time to become a member. If you guys are going to do any last-minute gifting, now's the time to do it. Hang on a second. The thumbnail is glitching out. Let me make sure and see if I can't fix that. And then I'll provide you guys with a link. And we are perfectly on pace. We're perfectly on pace. 301 members on the week. I'll give you guys a Member Plus update in the next thing that we do. You guys continue to upgrade to Member Plus. You're getting your afternoon extra Saturday stream this Saturday. That is for Member Plus and above. That's totally extra. That's something that we're doing for what we call milestones. Milestones are not the same as goals, because a milestone is something that we're trying to achieve as a community. So consider upgrading to Member Plus or VIP. Supports the channel directly. It makes room for more gifteds. Thanks so much for being a member, and this is going to be a waiting room for the future game show co-stream at 4 p.m. Eastern. If you guys are at the tail end of the Xbox co-stream, be sure to come back in about 4 hours, about 3.5 hours, for the official co-stream. If you're not a member, consider clicking join and becoming a member. If you do pick up your own membership, always remember to pick Member Plus. It helps us differentiate between gifteds, and then when you renew, it adds to the total of the goal that we're always tracking. You're well on pace for Community Game Night. If you hit the stretch goal, Madam has to continue her Destiny journey. If you missed that Destiny journey, it was hilarious this last week as she went through a jumping puzzle in Destiny, and I almost died. So I'm going to end the previous stream and redirect people over to this members-only stream. And thank you guys so much for the huge support for those streams. We